But give it to him? Unless she's dead. Yunwoo looked at him and said coldly, "Knight, if I can, I will crush you to pieces." Knight smells speech, just deep looking at her after one eye, the corners of the mouth gentle hook up, gentle way. "I hope you will have this opportunity, I wait for you." All of a sudden, a black fog came with the breeze, and the familiar and strange dark breath in front of her body would suddenly attack her nose. Next second, night. Cloud dance roars, subconsciously want to take the little fat girl back. But I do not know why, clearly close at hand, but rush to the air. The knight stands a few steps away, looking at the cloud dance with pale face and roaring, "I don't know when there is a little girl in my hand." Deep eyes in his arms to see the little fat girl. Night that deep eyes finally see a certain kind of comfort and joy of emotion, slender fingertips gently brush that pink-white cheek, can't put it down. "Finally, I found you, my highness princess. Give me the baby back." Cloud dance angry red eyes, don't want to also don't hesitate toward the knight. "You calm down." At this time, Jade's son returned but don't know when appeared in Cloud dance side, tightly pull her into the bosom. "You let me go." Yunwoo was angry and struggled. Jade's son returned but tightly embrace her, let such as she how struggle also refuse to let go of hand. "He's a demon, you won't be his opponent." Demons. At this time, Yunwoo's reason has been occupied by anger, and she doesn't want to pay any attention to the demons. She only knows that her son is in the hands of Meiyu, and the little fat girl who returns to her side with little potato's life is taken away by night. She can't stand it. She really can't stand her children falling into other people's hands. "I don't care. Whoever touches my child, I'll take his life." Yunwoo's voice was trembling, and she almost wanted to rush to kill those who had caught her children, as long as she could get them back. The Jade Sun returns to the eye ground to pass a touch of heartache of looking at the woman who loses reason calm in the bosom, but didn't plan to let go of her. "Listen to me. Demons, absolutely not anyone can casually despise, even his whole Jade Mountain. The demons were sealed thousands of years ago. How did you?" The four elders were not affected by Yunwoo's action. After digesting the news of the demon, they immediately looked at the knight and asked, "The son of darkness has arrived. Yeben has no intention to fight with these old men for the time being. However, he has promised to do something. At least, he needs to charm the partner. So, he didn't mind solving these old men ahead of time. It's from you. In that case, I'll take your life." The knight holds the little fat girl in one hand, the body jumps in the air, one hand lifts up as if dragging something. A dark cloud suddenly rises in the sky, forcing the air around. The four old men's faces changed. He wants to attack with gathering demons. Stop him, or everyone in this town will be destroyed together. Four directions at the same time. The four old men, after discussing with each other, immediately jumped into the air and surrounded the knight in four directions. At that moment, the white clouds surged around, and four powerful forces rose in four directions, directly pressing the dark force in the middle. Hoo-hoo! There was a sudden gust of wind. All around, the pressure of the aura fluctuations almost make people breathless. Under the strong afterwave, all around began to bring a hot high temperature. That's the change of two opposite forces. And that kind of high temperature, higher and higher, almost in mid-air to form a kind of squeezed out of the flame, all the creatures will be burned clean. However, Yunwoo felt that the night had not done its best, and the four old men had not done their best. Once both sides do their best, I'm afraid that all these 4 weeks will be gone. Charm holding the young master, from the beginning to the end of the station in a distance from the position of the direction, coldly looking at all this happened in front of me. It seems that in his eyes, these are all good plays. It was a good play that he had been looking forward to, and he was reluctant to miss any details. Ah woo. But at this time, the child's cry, suddenly in this tense atmosphere. Yunwoo looks up at the young master in her arms. Her heart aches because of the cry of the child. If Yuzi hadn't held her tightly, she would have rushed to her. Since the young master was born, apart from eating and sleeping, Yunwoo has never seen him cry, let alone cry now. Unexpectedly, you can feel the danger of your sister, tut-tut. Charm looked at his arms suddenly crying up the little baby, frowned and murmured but Yunwoo heard that very clearly. The danger of my sister? Suddenly looked up, Cloud Dance open eyes looking at the knight in the hands of the little fat girl. This doesn't look good. At a glance, Yunwoo just felt that she couldn't lift her face in one breath. I saw the little fat girl sleeping in her arms that night. Her face was as white as paper. Under the sweat of her forehead, 2 little willow eyebrows seemed to be tightly wrinkled in endless pain. Is it because of the 2 forces that are fighting each other? Or is Night using her power? No matter which one, if it goes on like this, little fat girl's life will definitely be explained here. Cloud Dance also don't know how to break away from Jade's son to return. Anyway, under everyone's facial expression big change, her body that long seriously injured already jumped into the air, abruptly broke into those 2 forces. That power is really beyond her power. Yunwoo only felt that his internal organs were broken, his limbs were pulled as if they were going to be broken, and his whole body was going to be smashed. And in fact, it is. At this time, the Cloud Dance in people's eyes, the body will be scattered like particles, and will be crushed into a blood fog by the force. Ah woo. The cry of the young master is more and more sad. Yunwoo's consciousness dissipated in the pain, but her son's cry made her pull back a trace of consciousness. All around a chaos, Cloud Dance, only feel the eyes of a dazzling red heat wave swept her whole body, including burning her eyes. However, Cloud Dance still found the location of the night. Even though she can't breathe under the pressure of huge force, every inch of her body has been torn to pieces, but with that little sense of existence, at the moment when her body is broken, she suddenly passes through the force and goes straight in. Night he never thought, deal with the 4 old men, not only hurt the son of darkness, but also let him fall into a difficult situation. But it was the woman who flew to him through the 4 old men and his strength that made him feel terrible. You. The voice of the night just came out, and the woman who came had snatched the pale little fat girl from him. Come on. An old man suddenly called out. Just as the old man's words had just fallen, the other 3 old men had no time to be shocked. They immediately went out with all their strength and set off a huge force to attack the night. However, even if Cloud Dance recaptured the little fat girl from the night hand, it didn't leave the distance of the night. The power of the 4 old men working together at the same time actually fell on her. However, even if the 4 old men knew the situation, they would not hesitate, because in addition to the Cloud Dance, the night is a demon, and they must be killed. Little fat girl, the son of darkness, is to destroy it. All in all, it's definitely cost-effective to sacrifice a human woman to annihilate the son of darkness and a demon. Be careful. Yuzigi's face changed greatly, and his figure flashed, then he went to the air. However, it is still late. Yunwoo tightly protects the little fat girl in her arms, shrinks into a ball, and tries to protect her children with her body as a barrier. She knew she couldn't get away with it. However, she was not willing to let her child die like this. But why should her innocent children pay for the so-called purpose of these people? Under the attack of great power, Yunwoo's body was smashed in an instant. She couldn't bear the pain, and she was unwilling to let her utter an earth-shaking cry. At that moment, under the impact of the black and white light, the road shrank into a ball to protect the child's body, and was instantly destroyed into a transparent scattering like glass fragments. But in the blink of an eye, a powerful and pure aura suddenly broke out in the body like broken glass. As soon as the aura came out, the power of light in this area seemed to be instantly summoned. The next second, Yunwoo's broken body was suddenly agglutinated, and the force of light glued together to restore the original. Green silk flying, holding the child's body tightly, suddenly stretched straight and pitching up. A red totem mark suddenly flashed between the forehead and eyebrows, and a dazzling purple light flashed through the burning blood-red pupil, which brought a mysterious and powerful. When the strange image appeared on Yunwoo's body, the huge power of terror around him suddenly seemed to be emptied by something and disappeared in the air in the blink of an eye. It's gone. The power that was enough to destroy all the people in the nearby town and all the creatures around it completely disappeared, and disappeared in an instant. At night, The four old men, Uzgy and even the charm, were shocked by the scene. For a moment, no one responded. The young master's cry stopped, with big eyes dripping with tears, and he only stared at his mother in the air. Xiao Pang waved his hand in the air, as if he wanted to hold his mother. But at this time, no one paid attention to him, because everyone's attention was focused on the cloud dance who was floating in the air and was still in the process of vision change. The big elder's pupil was staring big, and the fear in the bottom of his eyes was proportional to his surprise. This is. The big elder's pupil was staring big, and the fear in the bottom of his eyes was proportional to his surprise. The other three old men were also shocked. They opened their eyes and looked at the clouds in the air. But the charm, at this time that pair of deep eyes also many a dark deep thought. I didn't expect that she had something of the Protoss. Whisper, light can only hear. Night at this time look unpredictable, black eyes also staring at the figure in the air, not in the hands. He can say from the beginning has been watching the cloud grow up, from her appeared on the top of the desert, he has begun to calculate all the plans. I thought that everything would go according to his plan. But unexpectedly she, Yunwu, became the only exception. Yugishan, who escaped from him and entered into the bright area, not only gave birth to the son of darkness, but also gave birth to the son of light, which caused this movement. When he knew the news, he knew that Yunwu would no longer be a piece on his chessboard, because she was too difficult to control. Once the pieces on the chessboard are useless, they cannot be left. Today he got the son of darkness, and he didn't intend to keep her. However, she once again surprised him and broke his plan. For the first time, when he looked at the woman in front of him, a very strange idea arose in his heart, which was enough to make his future road full of unpredictable thorns. However, he suddenly felt that a thorny road was better than a road beyond his control. So, at the moment when all the people on the scene were shocked by the scene just now, the night road suddenly came with them, reaching for the cloud dance that I don't know if it was in a coma. And the little fat girl has been held in her arms by Yunwu. Let her go. Uzgy was the first to react. At the moment when his eyes were angry, the white figure suddenly jumped up and attacked the night with clouds. Don't mention that you are the leader of a small clan. Even if you join hands, you can't take anything from me. On the gentle face of the night, suddenly it is gloomy and cold. The black robe swept in the air, and a black fog streamer accompanied with the killing machine, and the jade came back. Uzgy's face changed slightly. After dodging, he flew to attack again. However, for the night, it seems that it is just a few easy to deal with. Master, be careful. The four old men came back to their senses when they saw that their patriarch was so desperate to attack. In danger of Yuzi's return, they exclaimed. Four old men flew away again. But at this time, it was just the charm who had been watching the play, but suddenly jumped up in the air, caught everyone by surprise, quickly shot, only to block the four old men's attack. You're trying to stop us? Or do you really want to die? At this time, the two elders looked at the evil spirit of interference. For the Ming Emperor, although they are shouting to fight and kill, they are really reluctant to give up. You know, the Ming Emperor, have problems as soon as they wake up, but we have to say that he is the best immortal talent and strength they have ever had. If that had not happened, his achievements would have been extraordinary. What a pity! What a pity! And this is a pity, but also let the four old man's heart. Since you gave up on her, now others want her, but you want to rob her. Is that the style of your Guangming department? If so, I'm sorry. I can't stand it, so I'm going to do justice for heaven. On the cold face of the enchantment, there was a sense of enchantment. When the four old men heard this, they seemed to have been told a scandal, and their faces were ugly. You rebellious, it seems that we have indulged you too much, and now we are still so crazy. Stop talking to him, take him down and save our son of light. Elder, let me do it first so as not to let people say that we cheat less with more. The four elders looked at the other three elders and suddenly attacked the spirit like a meteor. The two figures from the sky, like meteors, can't see clearly. The other three elders looked at each other, and then tacit understanding did not go to fight, because, at this time, they should pay more attention to the fight between Uzigi and the knight. In addition to Uzigi being their patriarch, the more important one is the woman of human world, Yunwoo. They will never feel wrong at that moment when they are carrying Protoss. The fact that a woman in the human world can possess the things of the Protoss is enough to make them pay close attention from indifference at the beginning. If they could, they would never allow anyone to take her. However, when these people were fighting on both sides, they didn't know that the cloud dance, which was fused with the broken body by the powerful spiritual force, was not really in a coma at this time. Her body was shattered by the power. Although she was fused again under the spirit power of Chaos Hall, her body and soul were in a state of semi-separation and reunion. It's like being in a coma and completely ignorant of the outside world. But in fact, she has a clear sense of the outside world, including what those people say and what they do. I don't know why. Mingming is now in a state of half-soul separation, but Yunwoo is extremely calm. Even her previous irrational resentment seems to be resolved by the coldness brought by the deep soul. The soul is still the killer Wufeng from the 21st century. However, at this time, she looked back and saw what had happened in the past few years, but it seemed that she had experienced countless joys and sorrows, and finally, she still became what she is now. Husband ion powder. Yes, in fact, it's just a few years, but it's like a life of vicissitudes with emotion, but more of it is a kind of unspeakable tiredness. Whether it's the human world, the upper world, or even the fairyland now. These people are inseparable from the 5 words, greed, hatred, infatuation, and evil. In this world, where can there be a pure land? Half-soul state of cloud dance. Coldly looking at the fight for her, the bottom of my heart suddenly rose a very cold Qingming. But Yunwoo didn't find that, with what she thought in her heart and the quieter and quieter Qingming at the bottom of her heart, her body was undergoing earth-shaking changes. The Hall of Chaos, which had been floating and sinking in the sea of her consciousness, suddenly began to rotate rapidly, as if it had lost some support. When it reached the extreme, it began to make a clang sound that was about to collapse. It seems that some parts of the interior are beginning to dissipate. If Yunwoo's soul is not half-separated at this time, she will find that not only the Chaos Hall is collapsing, but also the contract slot that has been silent in her eyebrows is disappearing. The contract slot in the middle of the eyebrow is actually the contract bridge formed by Yunwoo when he was a summoner. Once the contract slot disappears, the relationship with the contract beast is terminated. At the same time, once the contract slot disappears completely, the contract array will disappear and the summoner class will return to 0. In other words, without the contract array, she would not be a summoner. The collapse of Chaos Hall means that there will be no Chaos Hall, the god of cheating device. However, at this time, Yunwoo knew nothing about this situation. On the contrary, as she looked at it bit by bit, her soul seemed to be enveloped by some kind of emptiness, and her heart became more and more clear as a mirror. As a human, her 7 emotions and 6 desires began to disappear from her original soul. People, once there is no 7 emotions and 6 desires, then wait for the same corpse to walk. Of course, for those who cultivate immortals, it is the best time to become an immortal without 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, Yunwoo did not practice the immortal method and never intended to become the immortal. She's just, supercilious, but she didn't know that what happened to her also affected many people and things. This is the Dark Cloud Palace in the dark area. In a magnificent hall, the dragon, dressed in gorgeous black robes and sitting upright, suddenly felt a palpitation and trembled. The moment he opened his golden eyes, a beam of light passed under his eyes. It's her. She must be in this fairyland. Besides, something must have happened to her. The throbbing and trembling from the bottom of Long Qingxia's heart made his face turn white gradually. Some strong bad premonition was impacting his reason. He knew that at this time, he could not step out of the scope of the Dark Cloud Palace without the permission of the Lord of the Dark Cloud Palace. This situation was discovered after he awakened to the identity of Dark Emperor. He knew that this Dark Cloud Palace must have done something to him. During this time, he went all over the Dark Cloud Palace and searched the library of the Dark Cloud Palace, trying to find a solution, but all failed. Even because he walked frequently during this period, he was suspected by those old men. Originally, he intended to take advantage of the time to go to Yugoshen in a few days to find a solution. After all, if he has this kind of restraining power, he can't escape at all. Even if he escapes, he will be captured by the Dark Cloud Palace. And when he is caught back, it is not known what the Dark Cloud Palace will do to his memory, so the only way is to find a way to crack it. That's why he didn't look for it, since he seemed to feel Yunwoo's intention last time. But now there is something wrong with Yunwoo. Something happened to her. All reason, after knowing this, seems to begin to disintegrate. No, he's going to find her. Long Qingxia suddenly got up from the mat, and then left the hall quickly. But as soon as he left the palace, the maid at the door immediately welcomed them, but at this time, the dragon turned a blind eye to them and left a shadow behind. "Come on, report to the Lord," one of the maids said to the guard on the other side. All of a sudden, he saw several figures moving quickly in several directions. In addition to going to the palace of the patriarch, there were several others going to the hall of the elder. During this period of time, several elders were not quite at ease with the dragon's evil spirit, and they made people keep an eye on it for a long time. Hall. Suzerain, Suzerain, Dark Emperor. A bodyguard who rushed into the hall just wanted to report, but when he saw the people in the hall, he stopped abruptly. At this time, in addition to the leader of their Dark Cloud Palace, the Dark Emperor who just left was also standing on the main hall. Long Qingxia turned his head, and his golden eyes swept the bodyguard with a cold light. However, he didn't say anything. On the contrary, Lien Ting frowned when he saw the impetuous guard. What's so impetuous? There are no rules. Always gentle as jade voice, low and solemn. The bodyguard trembled and bowed his head to answer respectfully, "I know my mistake." Seeing that the Dark Emperor is here, what else can he report? Even the court glanced at the bodyguard and knew what he was coming to report. However, it was not easy for the Dark Emperor to say anything in front of him. So, it's just a dignified gesture, "Go down and get punished. If you do it again next time, you will not let it go." Yes, the bodyguard quickly stepped back and took the door of the main hall with him. After a while, there was silence in the hall. Lien Ting then raised his eyes slightly and looked at the dragon Qingxia, who suddenly came to his main hall. The Dark Emperor was interrupted as soon as he spoke. Now there is no outsider. If you have anything to say, you may as well say it directly. Long Qingxia's anxiety and uneasiness didn't show a trace on his face, and he was still arrogant with natural evil spirit. He walked to one side and sat down, then he looked at Lien Ting's eyes. "During these days, you must have been monitoring me pretty much, don't you? Although I have lost my memory, it doesn't mean that I have no feelings for the outside world. I don't like to live a life of being watched everywhere. Moreover, during this period, I feel that something is wrong with my body. Do you want to give me an explanation?" Even hearing the speech, it seems that he will not be surprised to find out. The Dark Emperor's memory has been lost, so I don't think I can remember it. The Dark Emperor's ability after awakening is connected with the whole Dark Cloud Palace. Even me, I can't intervene. The Dark Emperor will feel uncomfortable, which is inevitable. I believe he will get used to it after a while. Junyi's face is like chatting. But the dragon poured evil smell speech, the eyebrow peak actually a wrinkly, the gold mouth twinkled a silk chili. The habit is good? Do you mean I will be tied up in this Dark Cloud Palace all my life? Of course not. Why did the Dark Emperor think so? Although the ability of the Dark Emperor is related to the survival of the whole Dark Cloud Palace, it is only limited to the influence of power, and will not affect the ordinary words and deeds of the Dark Emperor. During this period of time, the main reason is that the Dark Emperor was injured and just woke up, and there was a lack of memory. I would send people to take care of him in many ways. I didn't expect that the Dark Emperor would feel uncomfortable. Lien Ting explained with a smile, without the arrogance and indifference of the patriarch at the beginning. As a matter of fact, this Lien Ting with a handsome and warm face would really look like a gentle child full of literary and artistic atmosphere if he could only slightly restrain the master's momentum. It's disgusting, but on the contrary, Long Qingxie doesn't like this kind of lienting, because it's more unreal and unpredictable. However, the purpose of his coming here is not to expose himself for the sake of asking questions, but to give himself a reason to leave the Dark Cloud Palace. Because he felt that something must have happened to Yunwu now. But if the court doesn't allow him, he will break out of the Dark Cloud Palace even at the risk of being found. This time I come here, in addition to explaining to the patriarch what I just said, I have another thing to say to the patriarch. Long Qingxie's golden eyes looked at Lian Ting without reservation, and there was no emotion in the light. Lian Ting said with a faint smile, "The Dark Emperor might as well speak directly. I want to leave this Dark Cloud Palace and go out to have a look. I haven't set foot anywhere except this Dark Cloud Palace since I woke up a few months ago. This time, I want to go to Yugushan in a few days, and set out a few days in advance." Start early. Even the court smell speech seemed to can't help but stir up the eyebrow of meditation. Long Qingxie's face was as usual, not in a hurry. In the moment of meditation, Lian Ting's eyes have been staring at the dragon's evil eyes. There is a trace of exploration in the bottom of the eyes, and he is looking at something. However, in addition to Qing Ming, the dragon's evil golden eyes were calm, not like other signs. After thinking for a while, Lian Ting said with a gentle smile, "It's no problem that the Dark Emperor has such a plan. I don't know how many disciples the Dark Emperor plans to take and when to start. I'll go right away." Long Qingxie didn't answer the question in front of him. In fact, if he had a choice, he didn't want to take anyone from the Dark Cloud Palace, but this is not the time for him to lose his mind. As long as you leave the Dark Cloud Palace, things will be much easier to do. Even the court is quite surprised to pick Eyebrow Wei, immediately set out. Thus, if the patriarch feels that he is in a hurry, then I can have a good time. Long Qingxie seems to be anxious but quite indifferent to add such a sentence. This time, on the contrary, even court inexplicables some see through. But he had a plan to let the tiger go back to the mountain for a long time. Now the dragon has suddenly put forward such a request. Isn't it the right time to implement it? So even the court agreed. As for how to arrange the incense burning time and how to arrange the disciples to follow him out, Long Qingxie has not paid much attention to it. Now he felt more and more uneasy. The time of burning incense seemed like half a century in his eyes. He suffered a lot but could not show it. It was hard for ordinary people to understand the pain. Wu Er, wait for me, you must wait for me. Upper bound. Looking for a few months failed, but still dare not give up. Nangong Yi and others, also in that moment, suddenly feel flustered, uncertain uneasiness, at the same time filled in several people's hearts. Tacit understanding. So, a few people originally group around looking for, but after that flustered, a few people at the same time from all directions toward the original position they agreed to go. Something happened to Yunwu, especially Hongling, Lan Yu and Baishuir. The three of them, except that Hongling and Yunwu are connected by blood, the other two are also related by contract with Yunwu. Although a few months ago, somehow, their contractual bridge with Yunwu was blocked, making them unable to sense the existence of Yunwu, they all knew that there was still a contractual relationship between them. This means Cloud Dance is still alive. However, today they also feel that the contract between them and Yunwu has changed, and the relationship between them is gradually disappearing. The contract is disappearing. They all know what it means. Their owners have had an accident, or even are losing their lives. That kind of panic, let them all lost their square inch. Human world. Yunqi was listening to the news that he was looking for Yunwu in the hall. It was there that he suddenly felt a little flustered. That feeling let him understand very quickly come over. Small Dance has an accident. All the time, he never gave up looking for his granddaughter. For the news that he didn't find anyone, he insisted that no news was good news. However, this sudden panic, but let the old man who lost his granddaughter, in an instant and several years old. And Yun Lingyi, who is looking for this place on the other side, also suddenly feels something. Even Gao Yu and Bai Qingshui make Xian Tian feel uneasy. The same panic and uneasiness, like tacit understanding, spread to everyone who has an important relationship with Yunwoo. Perhaps, this also has something to do with the power of Bailao's rescue. However, their anxieties and worries do not seem to be able to convey to another empty world. They are in the process of dissipation. How cold! She has been looking at all the cloud dances coldly, and suddenly feels a chill coming from the depth of her soul, which makes her feel cool. Clearly, everything is just a passing cloud, will eventually turn into a cup of lust. What are these people fighting for? The world? Power and influence? Or fame? These are not important to the people who cultivate immortals? So what are they fighting for? I do not know why, has been watching the outside world is still fighting a few people in the cloud. My mind suddenly began to ponder this problem. Yeah, what are you fighting for? Cloud dance. That pair of misty eyes twinkled a little doubt empty, as if a lot of things began to fade away from her memory. What are you fighting for? The more you think about a problem, the more empty your brain becomes. It seems that something is disappearing from her mind. It's very important, but the more you think about it, the less you can remember it. Inexplicably, Yunwoo suddenly felt flustered and felt that she wanted to catch something, but she didn't remember what to catch. In the end, what is it? What are those people fighting for? This is the problem again. Yunwoo doesn't know why she has been thinking about this question. It seems that she has been thinking about the answer to this question in her mind. But she couldn't remember the answer. So, she wanted to ask those people, what are they fighting for? But Yunwoo soon found that she couldn't make a sound, her throat was burning like something, her whole body was torn by something, and then she was forced to glue, tear, glue, tear, glue, repeat, repeat, repeat. Does it hurt? Seems to have no pain is what feeling, because she forgot. However, she felt the cold rising from the depths of her soul, as deep as the frost. Outside. The night when I was fighting with Yuzigi, after avoiding another attack of Yuzigi, suddenly stopped. Because, just at that moment, he felt a strange feeling from the woman in his arms. When he looked down at the sleeping woman in his arms, his face suddenly changed. Cloud dance. A cry, accompanied by a slight tremor of the body. At that moment, a piercing cold, straight into his body blood, blink of an eye, you can see his whole body is covered with a layer of frost. Originally holding Cloud Dance's hand, also forced to let go. The temperature in the air drops in a flash. Then with the speed of the naked eye, the vegetation around the mountains are quickly beginning to frost cold. What did you do to her? Jade's sun return originally continued to attack of posture suddenly a close, looking at that is wrapped by the ice cloud dance, the facial expression deep anger asks night. On the other hand, Mei, who was fighting with 4 old men, was stopped by this sudden situation. Within a radius of 10 li, they were covered with a layer of white frost. Even a few people with extremely high accomplishments felt a chill deep into the bone marrow. What the hell is going on? The 4 old men, seeing this, changed their looks, and the horror in their eyes could not be concealed, but they all looked at the cloud dancing in the air on the other side. The source of cold is from her. Enchantment in the heart is also once again startled. Cloud dance once again gave him an accident. But at this time, the young master in his arms turned pale. His trembling body gave out a whimper, but his breath weakened. The cold in the air was too much for him. When the charm found this situation, frown, subconsciously will arm's small body to hold a point. It seems that the plan will be broken again. Your mother, it's really bad for me. Muttering sounds like saying to the baby in her arms, but it seems to be talking to herself. The charm of that deep eyes, a deep glance at the other side of the white frost wrapped under the cloud, eyes flashed a deep, if you cannot die, want children, come to me. This time, the voice is not big, but it is not small. See, also didn't wait for those 4 old men to come back to God. Enchantment that figure turn into a streamer, extremely fast disappear in another end. When the 4 old men reacted, they wanted to catch up, but they couldn't find any trace. Damn, the son of light was taken away by him. I don't know if it will. The words of the 3 elders changed the faces of the other 3 elders. Their original goal was for the Son of Light, but unexpectedly, the Son of Light was taken away in front of their eyes again. How could they feel better? Frost, covering a radius of 10 miles. In this frost-covered area, the temperature has been falling slowly. Breathing can bring up a burst of white air. What the hell is going on? Did you do anything to her? Yuzi Gijunyi's face is a little worried. He wants to get close to the past, but he is forced back by the cold. His spiritual power can't break the frost. Night dark transport capacity, small half ring, just the body, that layer of frost to melt away. I didn't do anything to her. Facing the question of Yuzi Gui, he just answered such a sentence. The power of magic bite. In the cold frost just now, he felt a special flavor of the demon family from her. What's going on? He had fought with her on the top of the desert before, and she had used the power of Moya, but she didn't feel any special flavor of the demons in the power of Moya. But just in the frost, he felt it. And also because there is the power of demons in the frost, so it took him a little time to melt the frost. But a woman in the human world, and also the blood of the so-called witch saint in the fairyland, how can she have the power of the demon family? You know, the demons will become a race feared by all races. In addition to the fact that the demons are ruthless and impermanent and are classified as evil, the most important reason is that the cultivation methods of the demons are too evil, cruel, and overbearing. Once the practitioners of other nationalities choose a path of cultivation, they will go all the way to the end, and they can't practice in different ways. Otherwise, once there is a little improper cultivation, it is easy to fall into the evil way and be destroyed. But the demons don't. They can practice in any way, including sacrificing the living beings. They can also integrate into the cultivation of any race, and there is no saying that they will enter the demons. Although the cloud dance is not the so-called cultivator of immortals, it is even more frightening that an ordinary mortal will have the power of demons. What the hell is going on? Is she a demon? No way, no way. She is a witch, not a demon. So what's going on? In fact, he also wants to know this question, but who can he ask? Aren't you a demon? Find a way. The first time that Yuzigi was so angry that he lost his identity. He felt that her vitality was passing away little by little, and if it went on like this, she would die. It turned out that he cared more about her than he thought. Night to Jade's sun return of attitude, eyebrow a wrinkly, but see that cloud dance under the frost, and that is still tightly hugged by her in the arms of little fat girl, heart bottom also anxious. Son of darkness, nothing can happen. Let all of you get out of 10 miles away, Yuzigue said. Yuzi turned around and looked at the elder and others on the other side. He amplified, Elder, you leave here first. Lord, how can this be done? Yes, maybe we can help with the situation of that girl, but don't trust the demons. The demons are cunning. Don't be fooled by him, Lord. Hearing Yuzi's words, the second, third, and fourth elders obviously didn't agree. Well, since the patriarch has ordered us to leave 10 miles away, we'll talk about it later. But the elders said with dignity. After looking at the cloud dance, he looked at Yuzi and said, Lord, we will wait for you 10 miles away. If there is anything, we just need to summon by the sound transmission technique, and we will come right away. After that, he didn't wait for Yuzi to open his mouth, so he flew away first. Others may not know it, but he can see it more clearly than anyone else. Their patriarch is afraid that it is difficult to escape the disaster. He only hopes that the doomed disaster will have a good ending. And the only thing he can do for their Lord is to support him unconditionally. Because this road is his own choice. The other 3 elders wanted to say something, but in the end they kept silent. After a deep look at their patriarch, he left in the direction of the elder with no choice but to shake his head. After a while, there was silence all around. Say it how to do it. Yuzigi looks at the night. The night looked at the cloud dance, which was wrapped by the frost more and more thick. After a long time, he turned to look at Yuzi and said, Master, you seems to care about this girl very much. Are you in love with her? Don't talk nonsense. Yuzigi's words came down coldly. Tut-tut, I didn't expect that the Lord of Yugushin would be attracted to women one day. However, it's much better than that disgusting self-conceit. Yuzigi's face sank. Night just then inexplicably smiled, said, "Don't tease you, want to break this frost, only need one thing, but, afraid of Jade Lord reluctant to take out." Yuzi glanced at him and frowned, "What is it?" "Your inner Dan. After the cultivation of immortals, the inner elixir will begin to form in the elixir field. The higher the accomplishments, the more powerful the inner alchemy is. In other words, the inner alchemy of the cultivator is his life. Once the inner alchemy is broken, it is like a useless person. If you want to cultivate the inner elixir, you can't get the inner elixir of an immortal cultivator, no matter how powerful you are." "My Neden?" Yuzigi's face changed slightly. What Niden stands for must be very clear to any cultivator. "If I remember correctly, Master Yu, you are practicing the extreme yang skill, aren't you? What can break the frost is your extreme yang inner pill." Night, looking at Jade's son, returned light explanation. But he still said one thing less. That is, in addition to breaking the frost on Yunwu, he also needed his Jiang Niden to break the last seal. The reason why he chose to meet the Son of Darkness in the grove outside this small town is not that this is the edge of the light system, but that this is the only weak place that he has been looking for hundreds of years to connect the seal of the demons. Yuzigi's appearance was originally expected by him, but what surprised him was what happened to Yunwu at this time. But Yuzigi's feelings for Yunwu gave him unexpected joy. He was still thinking about how to return from this Jade Sun to his extreme yang inner pill, but he didn't expect to send himself to the door. Of course, the inner elixir is related to the life of Master Yu. If Master Yu can't bear it, it's reasonable. After all, this girl has nothing to do with you. Looking at the face of Jade Sun returned to change, Night, a pair of understanding like grace say. However, his eyes turned pitifully to Yunwu. She still has the Son of Darkness in her arms. Once she dies, the Son of Darkness will not survive. Isn't that what your bright faction has been hoping for? On the contrary, congratulations to Master Yu. Jade's son returned to smell speech, but didn't buy his that seemed to retreat actually then advance of urge left and right, deep black eyes with a glimmer of unclear streamer, quietly looking at the cloud dance under the frost. On Junyi's face, I can't see any emotion at this time. It's hard to guess. Half a ring. You really only need my Neden to save her? The Jade's son returns to see toward Night. The facial expression covers this layer of obscure color. The Night nods. Your extreme yang inner pill plus my strength, it's no problem to melt away the chill on her. Good. I'll give you Nathan, but I hope you can keep your promise. After Yuzigi said that, he didn't have any hesitation, even without hesitation. With the palm close to the abdomen, use the spirit power to force the inner elixir on the elixir field and lead it out slowly from the inner body. This process seems to make him feel uncomfortable, but Yuzigi's face does not change. When he opened his mouth, a red bead flew out of his mouth. At the moment when Jiang Niden came out, the temperature that had been dropping suddenly seemed to be forced into baking by a blazing fire, and the temperature began to rise in the descending radiant. The frost began to melt. And this change, all just in the Jade Sun, returned to inside Dan that 10 seconds of that inside body of change. It seems that Jiang Niden can really dissolve the ice on Yunwu. Night saw an eye Jade Sun to return in the hand of inside Dan. The eye ground extremely quickly twinkled to pass a put on happy color, but also be concealed very quickly. Don't worry, I will keep my promise. The Night said at the same time, then toward Jade's Sun returned stretched out a hand. It may be that Niden is out of body, which has some influence on Yuzigi. Bearing the discomfort of the body, Yuzigi sends Niden to the hand of that Night. Z. A burst of barbecue flavor accompanied by ZZ sound suddenly sounded in this quiet space. Night seems to ignore his palm burned by Jiang Inner Pill, looking at the hands of Jiang Inner Pill, as if the joy of the bottom of my heart is hard to hide, a happy smile in the corner of my mouth. Jiang Niden, I didn't expect that Master Yu could really do this for this girl. It's really rare. Although he said that, the Night was full of joy, the burned hand turned, and Jiang Niden floated from the air wrapped by his black fog power. The power of extreme darkness, wrapped in the inner elixir of extreme yang, naturally sends out a trace of rejection and counterattack. Night but hook lips a smile, a strange and powerful force, on the contrary forced to suppress. Naiden is suppressed by the extremely in power of mutual repulsion, and Yuzijiui's body is also affected instantly. After an uncontrolled earthquake, his face turned pale as paper. If it wasn't for the fishy sweetness gushing from his throat, he would have vomited blood in his mouth. You. Don't worry, if I don't use my strength to wrap your Jiang inner pill, I'm afraid that it will destroy the square 100 li. Master you should know very well that it's not difficult to destroy the square 100 li thing with your strength. The explanation of Yexiaxio. But the change in his look made people wonder whether what he said was true or false. I saw that after the extreme sun inner pill was covered by black fog and floated, it began to slowly move towards the cloud wrapped by frost. The speed of the movement is not fast, almost very slow. But the naked eye can see that under the black fog, Jiang Naiden began to emit a hot red light, like a small sun hanging in mid-air, spreading around. The heat, with a masculine air, began to melt the frost in the surrounding vegetation. The frost layer wrapped with clouds also began to melt in the approach of Jiang Naiden. Yuzigi had been staring at the movement of Yunwu. Seeing that the frost on her body began to melt, his pale face seemed relieved. But at the moment, his body swayed like a dead tree destroyed by the cold wind. It turned out that the forced suppression of Naiden in the black fog made him suffer the same pain. If it wasn't for him, I was afraid that he would have been dizzy. I wish she was okay. It's okay. It seems that this sentence has been echoing in his mind, and this sentence also makes his pale face pull up a smile that is uglier than crying. Cloud dance consciousness gradually wakes up from the cold darkness, and the chill that had gone deep into the bone marrow seems to have retreated from the body. Where is this? Cloud dance in front of a huge lake, in the dark of a red star shining, the lake's surface shining like crystal general brilliance, very beautiful. However, it was so quiet that the silence was terrible. She suddenly felt some fear in her heart, but what was she afraid of? She doesn't know. Yunwu looks at the lake in the dark with doubts and thinks about finding the answer from his memory. But no. The memory is empty, I can't find anything. Therefore, Cloud Dance can only stare at the huge lake with empty eyes, silent and silent. But I don't know the original half-soul state of her. At this time the soul was once again integrated into the body. However, the difference is that her original sea of consciousness has turned into the huge lake. However, the chaotic palace that existed in the sea of consciousness before has been broken and sunk into the lake. As for whether it has disappeared, no one can know for the moment. And the contract slot in the middle of the cloud dancing eyebrow also disappeared in the reorganization and fusion after the body was broken. Contract array disappears, summoner returns to 0. At this time of the body, like the chaos of the new reorganization, there is no so-called past life, only birth. However, the green air flow in her dantian still exists. Mu Longting, still entangled in her new wrist, but it seems to fall into a silent sleep. The frost melted and the temperature rose. Floating in the black fog in the mid-air, Jiang Naiden was not recovered. But after the ice on Yunwu's body melted, Naiden suddenly shrouded Yunwu's body under the force of the black fog. No, not Yunwu's body, but the sleeping little fat girl in Yunwu's arms. Hot Guanghua, with extremely strong yang force, straight into the little fat girl's body. Some kind of boundary is broken. Originally still sleeping little fat girl, with the sound of breaking sound, slowly wake up. However, the agglutination of the light beam wrapped in her body was like a corrosive poison to her, and the original white skin suddenly began to become red and swollen. Soon, the skin began to be hot, rolling, burning, ZZ sounds slightly sounded. Little fat girl had just woken up from her lethargy, her consciousness was still in a confused state, and her reaction was half a beat slower. But soon, the unbearable pain on her body made her cry out, "Woo-ah!" The child's cry, sadling such as Blade, suddenly let Jade's son to face big change. "What are you doing to the children?" Yuzigi shouts loudly, then his hands close, just like the seal of Jeffa. He wants to force his inner elixir back. But Yuzigi soon found that he couldn't control it. His inner Dan was forced by the power of the black fog. Ah! Once again the sad cry, broken air sounded. At that moment, Yuzigi felt angry. Even if it was the evil in the rumor and had to be eradicated, Yuzigi felt very upset at this time, especially when he saw that the child was under his inner alchemy, and his whole body was boiling with oil, and his anger came from the bottom of his heart. That's her baby. Even if he can't kill her, he won't allow others to kill her. Yuzigi once again tried his best to urge him to take back his inner elixir from the control of the night. Night hard to wait until this opportunity, how can let the most meat to fly? A black fog strengthened, the light of Jiang Naiden was more dazzling. The cry of the child became more and more miserable. But the night seems not to hear like, that pair of black eyes in the flicker of a strange light, fundus deep in the excitement and persistent gloomy more and more rich. Soon. As long as the son of darkness insists, the seal of this weak area will be opened. It took him so many years to wait for the birth of the dark sun, and the inner elixir of Jiang came to the door automatically, just in the weak seal area. It's just like it was meant to be. Now that everything is ready, he is not polite. Today, he must break the seal of his demons. How many years have they been sealed by these fairyland people? I can hardly remember the night. However, he remembers clearly that at the beginning, it was these fairyland sects who, for high-sounding reasons, united to seal their whole demon clan in that hellish place. All that they have received will be returned to them one day. The evil intention of killing flashed through the evil eyes, and the gentle temperament was replaced by the gloomy breath. Ah woo! A baby's shrill cry suddenly sounded on the huge lake in the frightfully silent starry night. Empty and dull, looking at the clouds dancing on the surface of the sparkling lake, suddenly my body was shocked, as if scared by the sudden cry. However, it seems to be affected by the cry. Memory is a blank, she did not know where the cry came from, but the sad cry, but inexplicably hurt her heart. Whose child is that crying? Ah! There was another sad cry. Cloud dance body once again a shock, heart once again from the heart of the general heartache, the original empty star eye flashing a beam. Whose child? Ah! When the third cry came out, Yunwoo's heartache, which was cut by a knife, surged up like a flood. Child. What happened when the child cried so bitterly? The stabbing pain in the heart and inexplicable rising anxiety and anger make the blank memory space have some cracks, like something is about to come out. However, it is still a little short. Ah! More and more close to the children's wind cry, but in the fourth sound of sad cry obviously began to weaken. Yunwoo's body was suddenly shocked, as if something was forced to break through in his body, and crazy anger rolled up in his empty eyes. She didn't know where her anger came from, but with the inexplicable confusion, the huge lake, which was calm in the dark, suddenly began to turbulence. Child. What happened to the kid? Why does she feel so sad when she hears a child crying? Cloud Dance's thoughts are in a mess. What's in the originally dull and empty star eyes is twinkling, looking at the lake that is no longer calm, racking brains to find the answer. Actually, she wants to leave here, but she can't. Her body was fixed on the edge of the lake, unable to enter or retreat. Ah! The cry of the child was as painful as 10,000 knives inserted into her heart. She's going to get out of here. All of a sudden, I don't know if Cloud Dance has too much obsession. Suddenly, there is a breath in the rigid body, and it starts to run automatically. Moreover, it tends to run faster and faster. Yunwoo doesn't know what happened, but subconsciously guides, operates and circulates, and every time she runs for a week, Yunwoo suddenly finds that there is a black and white bead in her body, and the breath of running into her body is joyfully around the bead in her body and slowly infiltrates into it. Gradually, Yunwoo found that the child's cry became clearer and clearer, and her body began to move. She felt some inexplicable excitement at the bottom of her heart, beating a little fast. If there were no great changes happening outside, Yuzi Jiwai and Ye would surely find out. Unfortunately, at this time, The outside world has fallen into a sea of flames under the scorching sun. Originally in the frost can see plants and plants, but now in this sea of fire turned into dead trees and ashes, around a mess of burning. Yuzi is because Naiden is out of the body. The remaining power in the body can't resist the fire of the extreme yang, which is forced to release by the black fog. The whole person is like being hit hard by a transparent and powerful afterwave energy, falling on the ground and raising dust all over the ground. Poof! A mouthful of blood, finally still can't help spraying out. Yuzigi endured the tumultuous pain in his body, and raised his head to look up into the air. He was controlling the night of his inner pill. You break your promise. You're not trying to save her. What do you want to do? Stop, or the child will be burned to ashes. In the roar with anger, with the strain and hoarseness caused by the injury. The Jiang Naiden, which was wrapped in black fog, was just like the fiery sun. It not only wrapped the little fat girl in Yunwu's arms, but also extended flames to the ground in all directions. His behavior is definitely not simply for cloud dance to relieve frost. It's like for the angry cry of Yuzigi, the night just smiles, like a sneer and a disdainful glance at him. Oh, promise? We demons don't know what the meaning of those two words is. Of course, if you could promise us at the beginning, how could it be today? Do you want to break the seal? This conjecture, let Jade's sun return pupil 1 shrink, the facial expression changes. Looking at the ground spread by the fire, a dark and mysterious Tingtua ray looms. The night is both excited and excited. I can't help but want to share it with others. It seems that you are not stupid, but for a woman, you are willing to offer Jiang Naiden with both hands. I can't help but be moved by Master Yu's sacrifice. Don't worry, the seal will be broken soon. At that time, our demons will have a chance to go down to Master Yu's door to have tea, haha. The mountain was almost bare by the fire. Suddenly the temperature dropped, and the fire on the ground began to spread along the mysterious totem. Soon, the flame was about to form, and the orderly Tingtu was printed on the ground. If you look down from a high place, you can see clearly that this totem has the shape of a phoenix. The only difference is that the eyes of the phoenix are extremely dark, just like two black holes. The black hole's eyes are just below Yunwu and the child, and the inner elixir of the extreme sun floats above Yunwu and the child. 3 points in a line, the fiery red beam, shot down from Naiden, passed through the weak little fat girl's body, and reached the eyes. The little fat girl was as bloody as she had been fished out of the boiling oil. She was in great pain, but she couldn't die for a moment. Just the shrill cry, more and more weak. But the night doesn't care about it. Instead, it urges the extreme yang inner pill to break the seal on the ground in one fell swoop, so as not to dream too much. The 4 old men 10 miles away knew something was wrong when the extreme yang inner pill was powerful. However, the inner pill of the extreme yang set a boundary in a certain position when it opened the seal. This is also to prevent the night in breaking the seal when there is damage. The 4 old men were just outside the border. Elder, what can we do? Once we break through the barrier set by the power of the Lord's extreme yang, it will certainly do harm to the Lord. The elder asked anxiously. The 4 didn't know that Yuzi was under the control of the night. They just thought that the power border was set by their patriarch. The elder also has a deep brow. What are they doing? Even in order to save that girl, it's not as good as destroying the creatures in 100 miles? Is it related to the demon? But if we fight according to the strength of both sides, on the contrary, the strength of their patriarch is a little higher, then the demons are better, and there should be no big accident. But what's the matter with the high temperature around here? They didn't hear the call of Yuzi Gui, and there was the border set by the power of the extreme yang in front of them. They didn't know whether they should break the border and go into check. Wait a little longer. Finally, the elder decided to give their patriarch some time. However, he did not know that their delay almost led to disaster. Jade returns to the mountain. Cloud Palace. The strange statue in the center of the hall suddenly flashed a light, and the vivid eyes seemed to move for a while. Then, the stone statue suddenly vibrated. It seems to be activated by something, but the vibration is only maintained for a short time, and then the calm is restored. If the 4 elders of Yugoshin or Yuzigi didn't leave the sect, they would feel the movement. It's a pity that those who can live in the sect are those who are not qualified to enter the temple. So missed. The road to the light zone. Long Qingxie's almost all-out spiritual power was raised. He didn't care whether the people following him could keep up with him. He only felt that if he didn't hurry up, he would lose something. That sense of panic, as more and more close to the bright area, more and more clear. Long Qingxie gritted his teeth to improve his flying speed again, but that was his fastest speed. All the scenes around him turned into streamers, and there was little breath left. That speed, like a ray of light across the air, faster and more urgent than a meteor. Those who had followed him could catch up at first, but they were still far behind. They want to stop Long Qingxie and slow him down. Unfortunately, as soon as he left the Dark Cloud Palace, Long Qingxie could not cover up any more. He just obeyed his own feelings and went madly in the direction where Yunwu was now. Wait for him. Wait for him. More and more flustered, let Long Qingxie force himself to improve his speed again. The child's crying is almost out of hearing. Yunwu is speeding up the operation of his breath, urging him to absorb the bead quickly, so that he can leave here and see what happened to the child. Maybe it's Yunwu's urging speed is fast enough, or maybe Yunwu is anxious to know what happened to the crying child. I saw that the dark sky with only a red star suddenly began to fade, gray, light gray. Gradually, the light began to cut through the gray sky, shrouded in her body. The light was a little harsh. But Yunwu felt that his body was no longer stiff and could not move. But then came the pain of burning her chest. It was as if she was holding a piece of red iron, which made her very painful. Almost at the moment when I opened my eyes, I was subconsciously about to shake off the hot iron in my arms. But as soon as the gesture of throwing out was raised, all the movements of Yunwu were still. With a trace of confused star eyes, when you see what you have in your hands, Yunwu only feels hazy in front of her eyes, and a huge anger and heartache attack her in her chest. Child. The hot iron in her arms is actually a child. The smell of burnt barbecue is bloody. Cloud Dance only feel a blank in the mind, but the body subconsciously hold the hands of the child once again tightly into the arms, as if can't feel the burning pain disappeared. Child. Misty eyes, tears unconscious slide, dripping on the bloody child, aroused Zizi's tragic voice. This movement has affected the sad little fat girl who has closed her eyes. She slowly opens her eyes to see her mother, who finally wakes up. However, just open your eyes, as if exhausted all her strength. Blood bubbles are constantly broken in the high temperature and come out again, bloody and cruel. Who on earth is so cruel to such a small child? At the bottom of Yunwu's heart, she was extremely distressed and angry, but the next moment, she led the black and white round bead endosulfan energy from her palm, followed the movement of the energy, and sent it to the bloody child in her arms. Mom. It hurts energy into the body. The little fat girl opened her eyes, burning hoarse voice, called out her mother for the first time. 2 words, like a big hammer, suddenly hit her head. After buzzing, the wall of blank memory finally broke. Memory fragments hit, like a beast, quickly dyed her eyes red. Her child. This is her child. Yunwu only felt that her throat was dry and tight, and the faster she could send her own energy into her child's body, but she could not hide her tempestuous fury in her red tears. If she dares to hurt her child, she must tear the man to pieces. But looking at the weak, dying, bloody daughter in her arms, the cloud-dancing fury is still less than 1/10,000th of heartache. Don't be afraid, Mom will protect you. Yunwu lowers her head and kisses her forehead, where the blood bubble is not half separated, and pours the pure energy in her body directly into her small head through her lips and into the sea of consciousness in her mind. She didn't know how much pure spiritual power she had in her body, but she felt that this spiritual power could heal her wounds and protect her. To pure spiritual power into energy, from the mind began to spread the whole body, fast swimming. The skin that had been burned by blood blisters was moistened and restored by the miraculous power. The skin began to slow down its temperature, began to eliminate the blood blisters, and then slowly healed the split wound. At that moment, a steady stream of pure spiritual power seeped out in the position of cloud dance. The original hot beam seemed to lose its brilliance at that moment. The seal crack on the ground, which was about to be formed, stopped at that moment, and the faint halo began to recede. No way! How could she? At the moment of sensing the change of the aura, the knight looks at the cloud dance with slight amazement. But it's just a step to the door. He can't just let that woman destroy him. Even for the sake of the demon clan and his painstaking efforts over the years, he would not allow anyone to destroy his plan. Gloomy black eyes across a fierce, the hand of the seal suddenly complicated, fast up, all over the body suddenly covered by black fog, the sky also gradually began to cloud. You asked for it. Originally, he did not intend to kill them. The Son of Darkness is the necessary bridge to open the seal border. He doesn't give up killing, but Yunwu, the woman, has a great use value for him. However, if they want to resist and obstruct his plan at this time, don't blame him for being merciless. This seal must be broken. As long as the seal can be torn from here, the demons will be able to return to the fairyland continent from here and regain everything belonging to them. They have to sacrifice for the sake of the demons. Heart set, the knight that deep eyes no longer any trace of pity hesitation, and even, in the absence of emotional fluctuations, is that cruel, decisive. With the dark clouds in the sky, the black fog that enveloped Jiangnaiden suddenly turned gloomy, as if it suddenly became extremely haze and ferocious. Yuzi Jiui on the ground had no time to wake up, and his body was attacked by some force. Yes, he covered his chest with his hand, and a mouthful of blood gushed out on the spot. His face was pale and frightening, but Yuzigi still looked up and looked straight at the cold night. If you dare to move her, even if you go to the ends of the earth, I will certainly tear you to pieces. Hoarse voice with anger, but because of serious injury and hard to make people cannot hear the threat. The knight just glanced at him coldly, then crooked his lips and disdained to smile. Also at that time, floating in the clouds above them that was wrapped in the black fog of the extreme sun endosulfan, once again forced to arouse the most powerful beam. The dazzling red beam of light struck down like lightning. Yunwu, who was still inputting spiritual power to the child, saw the light beam. When she saw the light beam, her body was faster than her brain's reaction. She suddenly turned over, protected the child under her body, and resisted the light beam with her own back. It's not that she doesn't want to flash to the side, but that their surroundings have been trapped by the boundary of Jiangnaiden, forming a limited channel of Jiangnaiden, the ground, 3 points and a line. ZZ. The clothes on the back were burned instantly, the flesh and blood were roasted in high temperature, the light beam went through the body, and entered the little fat girl's body again, and entered the seal on the ground. However, this time, because of the cloud dance on it, the power of the light beam on the little fat girl was reduced a lot. Momwu. Yunwu was convulsed in pain. He held little fat girl's palm, but still infused her with a few spiritual powers in her body. He pulled the corner of his mouth and said, "Don't be afraid, there's a mother." Little fat girl wanted to cry, but looking at her mother, she put up with it. Her skin, which had not been repaired, began to get red and swollen again. She is in pain, but her mother must be more. The little hand that began to blister again touched Yunwu's red and swollen face and gave her a painful blow. Mom, hoo-hoo. At this moment, Yunwu doesn't feel the pain on her body, but she feels her heartache is going to be full of holes. Her children. It's only been more than 2 months. Since she gave birth to her, she hasn't given her a good day except for hiding and wandering. However, she is much more sensible than ordinary people. Now her whole body is burning with blood blisters, and she can't help the pain even as an adult, but she still breathes comfort for her frustrated mother. Tears open the gate can no longer help falling. Yunwu suddenly felt that if she was not so useless, would her child not suffer such a crime? Knight did not expect that cloud dance again to make trouble. Although the power of Jiang inner elixir passed through the two people, there was a cloud dance on it, but the bridge of dark sun was weakened, which would only slowly break the seal. When the seal is broken, I believe it will soon attract those old people. At that time, it will not be so easy to break the seal. Damned woman, she's really ignorant. Okay, I'll destroy you first. The night suddenly flashed, and the figure wrapped in black fog came to the middle of the 3 o'clock line, that is, the side of Cloud Dance. Although Cloud Dance is burned by the light beam as if it is about to turn into ashes, but also in the night to feel, look up, red eyes directly on the cold eyes. At this time of the night, the whole body is full of chili, so I'm afraid that is his real appearance as a demon. Remember, even if I become a ghost, one day I will come back and tear down your bones and skin. The breath is weak, but every word in the words is very heavy and clear. I hope you have another chance. The night has no expression, the wrist moves, the black fog turns into a sharp blade, has already delimited that boundary, has attacked the chest position of the Cloud Dance. The cloud danced dully to hum the corner of the mouth blood oozes out. Originally thought, the knife into the heart, she will die, no doubt, once the human body died, no spiritual support, the power of the extreme young inner alchemy can instantly turn her body into ashes. But no, it's not dead, it's not reduced to ashes. See Cloud Dance in dull hum, the body slightly vibrated for a while, next second. Night, that gloomy facial expression suddenly changed for a while, some can't believe to stare at Cloud Dance, that knife into chest position. The black fog magic knife was still in the chest, but the blood was quickly turned into nothingness by a white light, including the blade inserted into the flesh and blood, which disappeared under the white light, leaving only the exposed one. How could that be? How could she, however? People don't know that the body of Yunwoo's Fantai had been crushed to pieces under the previous strength. Now, her body seems to be restored by the adhesion of fragments. In fact, every cell and pore of her body is reshaped by the pure spiritual power in the Hall of Chaos. Its super healing ability is beyond ordinary people's understanding. Otherwise, Chaos Hall will not be able to rebuild her body, but because it outputs too much spiritual power, it will not be able to support, break down and become the huge lake in the sea of her consciousness. Of course, no one knows. Even Yunwoo herself, she doesn't know why. Even, some memories are still in the process of not recovering. Although the night was shocked and unbelievable, it also quickly reflected that the dark eyes had been staring at her. Soon, the corner of his mouth outlined strangely, it seems that other things can't hurt you, but the power of the extreme young inner pill can. Under the light beam of Jiangnaiden, Yunwoo's body was burned, and there was no healing at all. So it can be seen that this Jiangnaiden can hurt her. Yuzigi calms down his own heavy damage and disorderly breath, and naturally hears the words behind the night. Does he want to kill her with Jiangnaiden? He soon saw the answer with his own eyes. Night is to achieve the goal can be unscrupulous people, and even can do cold-blooded ruthless also at all costs. As long as the seal can be broken, all those who hinder his road plan will die. The light beam of Jiangnaiden was strengthened again. Not only the flowers and plants all around were destroyed, but even the ground began to crack because of the high temperature. Under the scorching heat, this area is like entering a sea of hellfire. Looking at the night without hesitation or change of face, Yuzigi's face changed greatly. Regardless of his weakness, he jumped up and flew to the cloud, trying to stop the attack, which was like destroying heaven and earth. But even if he was faster and faster, he still couldn't be faster than the power of lightning. Seeing that Yunwoo and the child were about to be destroyed, Yuzigi never felt so powerless. But at that moment, the boundary of space seemed to be suddenly knocked open by something. Boom! The roar still reverberated in the air, but the residual shadow of the streamer had already flashed into the position of a large and a small blood person under the light beam of the extreme Jiangnaiden. Dazzling and dazzling light, just at the same time when the Jiangnaiden beam attacked the streamer, burst out like fireworks. Eyes can't open, hot power waves swept around. Kaka! Within the boundary of 3 o'clock and a line, there was a sudden sound of glass breaking. And then, in that blinding situation, broken into pieces of crash falling sound, Crash in the ears sounded falling. As a result, the ground vibrated and the powerful heat flow overflowed. Yuzigi, who had just jumped into the air, was too close to the position of the light beam, so he was hit down the ground again in the afterwave. Regardless of the injury on his body, Yuzi looked up and couldn't believe that he opened his eyes wide. He was staring at the dazzling light and began to see clearly. When the light dissipated and the figure holding a large and a small blood man was clearly seen, the complex emotions such as depression and loneliness unconsciously infected his eyes. It's him. The man she remembers. The man who made him feel like a hindrance before he met him. Originally, he was also ambitious to think that with him, he would never let this man have a chance to see her and become his obstacle. However, he seemed to understand that even if this man was just a mortal in the human world, even if he and she were destined enemies, he could not get involved in them. Looking at the evil and angry man in the air, looking at the man's eyes when he looked at the cloud dance, he suddenly couldn't help laughing bitterly. It turns out that love can't be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. The black figure in the night was also impacted in the afterwave of the sudden diffusion, and the boundary was broken, which made his mouth overflow with a touch of scarlet. Long Qingxie, it's you. Why are you here? When you see clearly the person who suddenly appears and breaks his boundary, the corner of the eye of the night instantly takes on a touch of een, coldly looking at the dragon. Isn't he captured by Dark Cloud Palace? How can you still be safe in this bright area? Long Qingxie did not answer him. No, it can even be said that all his attention now is not on anyone, but on the bloody little woman in his arms. The original white and delicate skin has long been unable to see half of its original appearance. After the blood bubble was damaged, blood flowed out and dyed the whole body red. Even the delicate and beautiful face could not see its original appearance. If the breath is not still weak, I think it is a broken body. At this time, the cloud dance can only be described as extremely miserable and ugly. But Dragon Qingxie is like looking at her most precious treasure, holding it carefully in her arms. Her loving eyes almost stick to her. Dance, are you okay? Low and hoarse voice, with inexplicable trembling voice asked. He was afraid that a little louder, it would break the people in his arms. However, in his heart, the killing intention like burning fire was about to break out like the river and sea. Just a little bit. If he's just a little bit late, he'll lose her. When I thought of the scene I saw when I arrived, the rolling and killing intention in the heart of Long Qingxie became more and more intense. But at this time, he did not dare to let go, afraid of a let go. Even the last faint breath will disappear. Little guy, come back to me when you hear me. Don't scare me. Dragon Qingxie holds cloud dance, trembling voice incomparably soft. I don't know if it's his call, or cloud dance is just a short daze by the impact. The closed eyes slowly opened after trembling. However, the original bright star eyes, but because of burning and become red hazy. Cloud dance looked at the hazy shadow in front of him, because of the familiar sound, and tears poured out. Although some of her memories are missing, she can't forget the man who goes deep into her bone marrow even if all her memories are lost. I've been waiting for you for a long time. How did you come? Throat dry and hoarse, but still cannot hide her deep thoughts. More than a year. She has lost him for more than a year, and there is nothing to fill her missing for him. Yunwu also wants to hug him and kiss him to make up for her missing for him. However, she is so weak and painful that she can hardly speak. I'm sorry, dancer. I should have shown up earlier. Self-blame ferments in the bottom of my heart. Heartache almost drowns him. If he didn't worry so much at the beginning, he would have escaped to look for her when he sensed that she might be in the fairyland. Wouldn't she not have to suffer such a crime? However, there is no if in the world. Cloud Dance pulled the corner of the mouth laboriously. It's okay, I forgive you, but you don't forget your daughter. Even though her hands were weak, she moved the weak child in her arms. Child, I have never met my father. And he has never seen a child. However, I never thought that the scene of father-daughter meeting would be like this. Daughter? Long Qingxie's eyes went down. When he saw the little blood man in her arms, he felt that his heart was cut to pieces again. His daughter, this is his daughter. However, in front of this little girl, the same bloody terrible, only the faint breath. Long Qingxia's eyes turned red, and the trembling of his body made Cloud Dance feel it. If there's something wrong with our mother and daughter, help me kill the night and find my son. Cloud Dance strong hold a breath, with strong willpower to let himself not faint. But she knew that she couldn't last long. She didn't know whether she was dead or alive, but whether she was alive or dead, she must let that night die. Even if she can't kill him with her own hands, she should let her father do it with his own hands. Hurt her, you served him? But he shouldn't, he just wanted to kill her child. But at this time, there was a cry. Quick, destroy that inner pill. Yuzigi's face was very pale, and his deep eyes had been infected with a touch of worry and anxiety. I saw that the neglected knight, but seized the opportunity, immediately fully aroused the extreme young inner pill wrapped by his black fog, want to open all the energy of the extreme young inner pill to the extreme. But that will not only destroy everything within 100 miles, but also destroy Yunwu in this world. Yuzigi feels the change in the control of Naiden, and immediately shouts to Longqingxi, asking him to destroy Naiden. Only when the extreme young inner Dan is destroyed, the inner Dan's power carrying him will disappear. And in that way, he will become a complete loser. The knight didn't expect Jade's son return unexpectedly for Cloud Dance. Don't hesitate to want to destroy own inside Dan. In his spare time, he quickened the speed of opening the seal, but how could Long Qingxia make him achieve his goal so easily? Hurt his women and children. It's not enough to pay for your life. The scarlet eyes reflect the blood of the person in his arms. The dark liquid seems to flow in his eyes. The darkness sets off scarlet, and the waves are more strange. That eye ground, go to exhausted anger, kill intention. The situation is changing, the seal is opening at the fastest speed bit by bit, the sky is more dark, strange black clouds layer upon layer, the smell of the demon family is more and more strong. If we don't destroy Naiden, the seal will be lifted. And she will be destroyed. The Jade's son returns an eye to see the seal be lifted bit by bit, again hard with shout. Does it have anything to do with me that the seal has been lifted? Long Qingxia stood up, and the darkness around his body was no less than that of the seal being lifted. Yuzigi felt the darkness from Longqingxi and was stunned for a second. What's the matter with this dark smell? And no less than the darkness in the seal. The next second, when he carefully felt the darkness, the treacherous darkness of that moment would not be felt. Is it an illusion? Or the darkness more terrible than the seal has not yet been fully awakened? There was an anomaly in the air. Yuzigi looks at the seal that is about to be broken, and his face is a little worried. When he urges the dragon to do it quickly, a black phantom sweeps towards the direction of the knight, leaving only a voice of deep anger reverberating around. I'm not for the seal, not for the common people, just for my women and children. Bang! There was a loud bang like thunder in the sky, and the black clouds rolled, tearing open the sky in an instant. The two layers of black clouds kept retreating, forming a gully in the middle. In an instant, they gathered again and attacked again, and each impact was shaking. Long Qingxia. The knight hisses and roars. Almost. He almost succeeded. It's all him. Long Qingxia. Controlling the dark power, looking at the seal that was almost cracked, now it is thousands of miles away from me. The night is also scarlet, and the look of the fundus of my eyes is gloomy. The impact of the dark forces shook the earth again and again, and the huge thunder was splitting. The sound was like a dull thunder, which spread to every corner of Yugue Mountain, and even to the dark cloud palace. The cloud dances hazily to see the dragon that is engulfed by the darkness to pour evil. The chest is like to press a big stone somewhere to be out of breath. The darkness was almost integrated with him, but he was in accordance with the terrible vortex of darkness. There was something in the endless scarlet anger. All of a sudden, her worried eyebrows suddenly tightened, as if she was fighting against something with all her strength. The bloody body suddenly sank, as if it was pulled down by something invisible, and it was useless for her to resist. Children. She was dragged down with the child in her arms. Mom. The little fat girl seemed to feel the danger and opened her eyes weakly. Yunwoo looks at her daughter in her arms, and seems to guess the situation after she is pulled down. Her heart is suddenly excited, and the inexplicable surging inside her body stirs up. Dragon Qingxia looks at the clouds that are sucked away by the suction. His scarlet blood eyes are extremely cold. A dark force passes across the sky. The power of the night knocks back the night 5 steps directly. In the gap, the dragon swept in the direction of Cloud Dance. If you break my business, let her be buried with the child. The night pursues the dragon's evil, and the twisted vines formed by the black fog attack the dragon's evil. The dragon leans away from the cloud. Damn it! While facing the death of the night, looking at the Cloud Dance which was absorbed by the huge suction of the seal, the angry eyes directly became bloody. He can't lose her again. Absolutely not. But the strength of the night is not so easy to get rid of, let alone a night that is close to madness and killing. In this case, unless he is dead, it is impossible to put Dragon Qingxia to save Yunwoo. With a hoarse roar, Long Qingxia began to concentrate on dealing with the night. The black silk is messy in the dark, and it is integrated with the dark. The black robe is swaying and ripping at the air. The one who has been fighting like a mad dog just because she is very dangerous now. Cloud Dance looks at that white figure. The corner of the mouth suddenly outlines a tiny radian. Seems to be smiling. Her man, struggling for her mother and daughter, was suddenly in a better mood. As long as you look at him, she will feel that everything is at ease, heart, all the complex feelings, that moment together he brought him. Broken body down, but looking at the child's eyes is so distressed. If a person lives on 10% of her strength, Yunwoo now has only half of her strength to barely breathe, but now she is using negative numbers that her body can't bear. Those forces that can't be used, once they are used, the light may run out. It could be death. But she had no choice. She must resist, fight with her men, protect their children and live together. In the fall, the bloody figure suddenly turned over, fell off the split position on the ground, and then slowly climbed up from the ground. The nearly broken body should have fallen down, but now on the other side of the road blocked by cracks, Yuzigi looks at Yunwoo with a look of horror. Why does a woman from human world always do things beyond his expectation? It's like an immortal Ado. When he falls down, he gets up again, Long Qingxia, I want you to see your women and children melt into the seal with your own eyes. The knight is rampant to smile, deal with Long Qingxia. He dare not have one to throw to distract, can only talk with Cloud Dance. To Long Qingxia, roar away. Cloud Dance, if you don't work against me, I still really like you a little bit. I like you, a woman who seems to be dying but still alive. Yunwoo resisted the attraction of the seal with her last consciousness and strength, but it didn't help. The power of the seal was so powerful that the black fog rolling out of the seal was close to them. Poof! The bright red liquid spurted out, flowed down the corner of the mouth, and seeped into the soil drop by drop. Poof! The bright red liquid spurted out, flowed down the corner of the mouth, and seeped into the soil drop by drop. Mom, the little fat girl in a coma called her mom like a babble. Because she was the son of darkness, she was born with a sense of the dark power. The powerful dark power in the seal felt her, which was wild and terrifying and scared her. The cloud dances the blood color pupil eye to look at the daughter, the blood baptism passes, the robe is ticking the blood drop, blooms in the dark to crumble. Looking at the fierce battle with the Knight of the Dragon pour evil one eye, the body can't help but fall down. Long Qingxia, I can't hold it. The powerful seal power is full of her broken body, and it seems to shuttle through her body like tyrannical dragons, but she doesn't feel any pain at all. It seems that this body is no longer her own, just a body without feeling soul. Dance. The hoarse voice penetrated the dark barrier and reached Yunwoo's ear. Yunwoo, who was sealed and sucked, was already in a semi-coma when she heard this sentence. The anxious hoarse voice reassured her a lot. He'll save them. Thinking of this, she hugged her baby with all her strength. It's no shame to put hope on her man. What she has to do is to let them live well and wait for him. 1 second before being sucked into the crack seal, Yunwoo looks at the man in the black fog, and his pale and dry lips start half a curve. Long Qingxia, if you keep me waiting too long, I'll stop you. Dance. The dark power hovers in the sky like a dragon. In the next second, it will destroy the sky and the earth and rush to the night. At that moment, the dragon will move quickly to the seal. The black silk was straight, and the black robe made a clanging sound in the air. The sound of air tearing passed by. The black phantom disappeared like a spot. When it appeared, it was close to the seal. He saw and heard her eyes and her words. Looking at the desperate dragon Qingxia, the knight showed a strange smile, a little embarrassed figure, the same fast toward the seal. Dragon's target is Cloud Dance, and his target is Jiang Naiden. The powerful seal power is what they can fight against. Even the Dark Emperor's dragon Qingxia can't fight against it before he fully awakens the dark power. He seems to be crazy and close to the clouds, and is crazy against the seal. Thorn. There was a sound of breaking. The seal suddenly turned dark, and the dark force rolled up Yunwoo and the children like a black Milky Way, and pulled them into the seal with the force of storm. Dance. It's too late. I use my life to protect her. You help me destroy Naiden. You can't let him open the seal of the demons. Cloud Dance has been pulled into the seal, but there is still a distance between dragon and dark entrance, and Yuzi's return is only 1 step away, only he can accompany her down. The voice falls, then see Jade's son return without hesitation of toward Cloud Dance disappear position jump down. The next second, the evil spirit from the seal disappeared, and everything was calm, as if nothing had happened just now. The knight looked at the seal that was about to be opened and restored to its original state. How could no way? Jiang inner pill is still there, seal is still there, how can seal isn't it? Is that her? It must be that woman, it must be that she was sucked into the seal and weakened the evil spirit of the seal. He roared at heaven like a tear. His efforts were wasted. His long-term plan ended like this? Heard the strange rush to the elders suddenly stopped. What's the matter? Why can't you feel it all of a sudden? The elder can't think when he looks at the magic chi that suddenly disappears in the direction of the seal. Who sealed the seal again? 2 elder looking at this circumstance way. Just after the seal vibrated, several of them felt that the seal was loose and rushed to see that the seal was about to be lifted. Who could return the seal to its original shape at this critical moment? As far as he knows, there is no one in the whole fairyland who can put the seal back in an instant, right? Don't talk about it. The patriarch is still there. Let's go and see the situation first. Let's go. In front of my eyes, everything is calm. There is not a drop of blood on the bloody ground. Everything swallowed by the darkness is bright again. There are white clouds floating in the torn cloud. Who can see that there was a fight with life as a gamble here? Looking at the disappearing Yunwoo and the child, the anger on Long Qingxia's body is getting worse and worse. Night unconsciously after move a footstep, squint the eyes son of Enli to look at the dragon to pour evil. How is the feeling that destroys on his body to return a responsibility? Why is there such a dignified dark gas? The black mist is around the dragon. The cut robe shows the skin. The bronze skin has become black now, and you can see the black gas in the flesh flowing with the blood. What's going on? Long Qingxia turned around, a pair of scarlet eyes reflecting the shadow of the night. The shadow stayed in his eyes. A closer look, the shadow was cut into 2 sections in his eyes. In a flash, the evil spirit billows like smoke. The dragon's evil body is like an endless container, emitting endless dark power. That power is stimulated from somewhere in his body, through the elixir field, through the viscera, running in the blood, breaking through the skin, which is the dark power of combining with him. That is the power that belongs to the Dark Emperor. In the name of the Dark Emperor, I declare that you can die. Death's hoarse voice, not too excited and angry, hit the knight's chest like a heavy stone, and a mouthful of blood gushed out of his mouth. You are. Bang! A black giant thunder hit the sky. The sky was covered by darkness. The sky and the earth changed color like night. Under the night, the two men's figures crossed. Suddenly, the darkness faded and the cloud sky returned to its original color. When the four elders arrived, they saw Long Qingxie and Yi standing there in black robes. Long Qingxie's robe is in a state of disrepair, with exposed skin and messy black hair. The whole person looks embarrassed, but the robe of night is intact. Although it looks tired, it is not as embarrassed as Long Qingxie. The four elders looked at each other, and their eyes were very strange, especially the eyes of Dragon Qingxie. They were surprised and shocked, just as they were surprised when they knew more and more about cloud dance. Bang! A shadow fell to the ground. Hissing. In the dark, there was a strange sound. A bloody woman and a bloody child. Jie Jie, I love it. One child can satisfy you, and this woman belongs to me. Jie Jie, you want to be beautiful. Cloud Dance in a coma in the dark frowned slightly, spoke one after another, and her voice beat her consciousness, but she still didn't have the strength to wake up. Who's talking? Scissors, stone, paper. Whoever wins the women's country belongs to whom, of course, the child belongs to the loser. What? Cloud Dance heard this sentence. Consciousness immediately alert up. Someone wants to move her children? Subconsciously, I want to hold the baby in my arms, but my body can't move at all. That's it. Stone, scissors. I haven't agreed to divide them up. Qingma's voice doesn't have any ups and downs. The man in white stands in front of the stone, scissors and cloth, and looks at them indifferently, but his elegant face is a little pale. Jie Jie, there was a useless man. The child belongs to you, the woman to me. But what's the use of this waste? The man looked back at Yuzi and said, a waste dares to come out to save the beauty. Even if you say you can save a yellow flower girl, you can save a woman who even has a baby. For the sake of being a waste, find a cool place to end it by yourself. Although Yunwu was still in a coma, she was conscious. She heard what the man said clearly. And she felt a very unusual breath here. The breath is absolutely strong dark breath, the smell of the demons. It seems that every corner, every breath of air is filled with the smell of the demons. Is she really sucked into the demons by the seal? Yuzigi looks at the two people in front of him and lowers his eyes. These two people have the unique smell of the demons. It seems that this is the sealed demons. The demons here have been sealed here for thousands of years. They have not kept up with the pace of evolution outside and still maintain the original characteristics of the demons. Scissors, stone. Why don't you die? Jie Jie, it's absolutely impossible for us demons to leave alive, because our demons have a rule that has not changed for thousands of years, but it's not that the demons break into the demons without permission. They must die. The demon people smile at Yuzi Guijie. He says that there is a rule, but there is no such rule since the day when the demon people are sealed. Now the reason why they want him to die is very simple. It's because he and Yunwu stopped the seal from opening. Now the whole demon people are looking for these two people. Stone, scissors. My life is not up to you, a scissors, stone and cloth. The voice of indifference rings out from behind Yuzigi. Yuzigi's back is stiff. She looks back at the woman in blood behind her. The woman smiles at him and gives him the little fat girl in her arms. Then she goes over him to the two demons. Her pale lips open a radian and burst out a smile. The smile is pale and weak, but she can't hide her own indifference and cunning guanghua. Since you like games so much to solve problems, let's play a game. Shen Wu Jie stood up with a smile. What do you use to play games with us? Take the first thing you do when you see us. Isn't it enough to kill us? Shen 5 Shen 6 look at each other. Not by Cloud Dance see through the camouflage of the mind. On the contrary, Big Square admitted. Jie Jie, I like it. How do you want to play? Simple, I'll give you a question, you give me a question, a total of 3 questions, answer correctly, you win. Jie Jie, it's interesting. What if you answer wrong? Cloud Dance way, good say, answer wrong a problem take off a, how do you think? Jie Jie, it's interesting. I'll play with you. I think you're wearing only 2 clothes? Cloud Dance hooks the corner of his mouth and takes a look at Uzgy. Uzgy turns around with little fat girl and moves away a few steps. The second he turns around, the corner of his mouth seems to be stained with a helpless expression. This woman really surprised him more and more. She was indifferent but attached importance to love and righteousness. She was unsmiling but clever. Which one was the real one? She was full of holes in the body, and now she can stand and deal with them. This woman is really incredible, too simple. This is the doom in his life, a doom that he can't escape. Unfortunately, she is the mother of the son of darkness. The son of darkness must die to save life. Uzgy looks at the little fat girl in her arms. The little fat girl is sleeping. There is no dark breath on her sleeping face. It's so calm that people can't help taking care of her. In a coma, her fleshy lips are still talking to her mother. Uzgy's faint eyes are covered with warmth. Over there, Yunwoo and Shenlu have started the game. 5 birds in the tree, 1 shot down. How many birds are there in the tree? 4. No. Take off. Why don't you take it off? Shall I take it off for you? What's wrong? 1 shot down, the rest were scared away, so the answer was none. Shenwu and Shenlu nodded at the same time. Then it's our turn to ask. Didn't you just ask? Cloud Dance picked eyebrow tip. Now it's my turn. What's the most powerful saber move of Pirate King Solon? Shen 5 Shen 6 look at each other at the same time. Pirate King? Saran? What is that? I don't know, do I? Take off. Why is this woman in such a hurry? While thinking that there must be something strange in it, the loser was taking off his clothes. Just as they took off their clothes, Yunwoo picked up the clothes and ran away, his eyes leaping with the light of victory. While running, he yelled and waved to Uzgy. Run! There are 2 abnormal people without clothes. Come on. Shen Wushen Liuqi's face is green and her nose is crooked. This shameless woman. So there was this scene. 2 men were forced to take off their clothes by a woman, watching the woman run away. Instead of chasing them, they hid in the dark, dark sky, dark air, dark everything. It is as dark as hell, full of dignified atmosphere everywhere, just like a place where Luo Cha and Yen Luo live, full of the smell of death everywhere. This is the Demon Clan. A place where there is no light but darkness. Yunwoo and Uzgy change into Shenwushen 6 clothes and put on a black flame lip, which is a symbol of the demons. Then they enter the demons. Today is the festival of hanging sacrifice. It's said that the devil sect has found sacrifices to worship the devil god. Let's get there in a hurry. Maybe we can get a piece of it. I don't know if this sacrifice is delicious enough. Hanging festival? Yunwoo and Uzgy take a look at each other. After the discussion, they follow those people to the demon sect. If you want to go back to the fairyland, you must find a way to go back, but if you can find a way out of the demon world so easily, these demons will not be trapped here for thousands of years. If you want to find an outlet, you have to take your time. The first thing you have to do is to understand the survival rules of the demons. To survive, maybe the hanging festival is the first breakthrough. Outside the demon clan. In the dark, everything has nothing to do with day. The whole demon sect is in the light of fire. The 4 cliffs are as bright as fire. Against the background of the night, the fire is bright and red. It looks like it is in a red-burned grotto. The whole demon sect is indeed a grotto. There are many rooms and lobbies in the grotto. Yunwoo is now located in the periphery of the Mazong headquarters. If you want to enter the Mazong headquarters, you have to go through the Qindiao Bridge. Qindiao Bridge is spiritual. If someone enters by force, the final result must be to fall off the suspension bridge and fall into the corpse cave and become a walking corpse. Cloud Dance looked at the corpse cave under the suspension bridge, star eyes narrowed. Below is a sea of blood, blood like boiling gurgling still steaming with gas. Freshman look is really blood. A closer look at the upper layer is blood like insects swimming, crowded together. And this festival of hanging sacrifices is to hang sacrifices to this corpse cave. The sacrifice of hanging sacrifices is the man tied to the cross. Cloud Dance looked at the embarrassed man, red fruit with the upper body, disheveled, looks like has been in a coma. Suddenly Cloud Dance in his red fruit arm found a mark. It is a cherry blossom mark. Cherry blossom? The indifferent star eyes shrunk and looked around curiously. How could the cherry trees grow in the place where he could not see each other's face? The answer is definitely not to grow. Since it can't grow out, why does this person have a cherry blossom mark on his arm? There are only two answers. One is that he also comes from outside the seal. The other is that the people he knows come from outside the seal. No matter what the answer is, this person, she can't let him die. But now her body doesn't allow her to save people, and Yuzigi has lost Naiden, and her power is exhausted, let alone involve him. Yuzigi didn't know what she was thinking. Yunwoo saw his complicated eyes at that moment, and he knew what she was thinking and worried about. Looking at the person who was tied, he also noticed the cherry blossom mark. Saving this person might be a big breakthrough to find the exit. Don't worry. Maybe we're not the only ones trying to save him? Yuzigi said quietly beside Yunwoo. Cloud Dance nodded. The world is changeable, any miracle can happen. In view of the present situation, she can only comfort herself. Psychological comfort effect is still a little. I didn't expect that this year's festival's offerings were so good. Who doesn't say, in case of offending the corpse god? Just when Yunwoo was listening, a ghost-like voice came in the distance. Today is the festival of condolence. It's a good day to see blood. A man in a black robe stood at the other end of the suspension bridge, with a thick black beard wrapped around his black lips, a black lotus mark on his forehead, and a dark atmosphere around him. Cloud Dance looks at that person, low brow tip. This person doesn't seem to be the common Demon Clan person. On the body's Demon Clan breath and the hostility are obviously stronger than others many. And what he said just now, why does it have a different meaning in her ears? It's a good day to see blood. If that's the case after entering the Demon Clan, I don't know what the reason is. She feels that although the evil spirit around her body is strong, it doesn't have the feeling that she wants to devour her. On the contrary, her body with many holes seems to be nourished because she came here, which makes her stand up and walk like a normal person. It's clearly a demon family here. Where can the power nourish her? The man in front of you has been lurking in our demon world for 100 years. The purpose is to prevent and obstruct us from finding a way to break the seal. For thousands of years, we can't find a way to break the seal. There are many difficulties on the way to find a way. Part of the reason is because of him. Do you hate him? Of course. We have been sealed here for thousands of years. Who can understand the pain of not being free in our life? Kill him. Kill him. A group of demons were angry, looking at the man who was nailed to the cross, and wanted to kill him immediately. We can see how much resentment they had. When the man on the cross heard the loud voice, there seemed to be a slight movement, and the fingers tied to the edge seemed to move. Of course, except Yunwoo and Yuzigi, who were not found by the emotional fluctuation, no one else found them. Suddenly, Yunwoo felt that there was a strange look around her somewhere. Suddenly, her spine was half cold. She turned her eyes and began to look for that look. Finally, her eyes rested on the man on the cross. It's him. Under the unkempt hair, a pair of extremely sharp eyes were looking at her. Apart from her, Yuzigi didn't find his look. The eyes are sharp and sharp, just like a blade covered by rust. Once the rust is removed, it will shine. The eyes Yunwoo frowned, and her eyes seemed to tell her something. What is it? His ears were full of angry shouts. Yunwoo completely ignored him, just wondering what the man's eyes just wanted to convey to her. Good. According to you, today's hanging festival, sacrifice by you to kill. Do it. Tsu-nan, who was wearing a black robe, gave an order. In an instant, the roar disappeared. Suddenly, all the voices were drawing swords and swords. In an instant, the dark forces were stirring up around the clouds. Everyone urged his own strength to kill the accomplice himself. Wait. Just when Yunwoo didn't know what to do next, a clear and sharp voice came from the dark sky. The voice was not big, but it was so powerful that the whole demon clan and the people who participated in the festival heard what he said. Cloud Dance narrowed to squint eyes. Son, the corner of the mouth stirs up radiant. It seems that the matter has a turn for the better. At that moment, she seemed to see the man on the cross nodding to her, thinking that she was wrong. When she wanted to see more clearly, the man still kept his head down and motionless, as if what she had just seen was an illusion. It's none of my business. I only care about peace between the two factions. If you want to kill Yifeng Mountain's disciple, it has something to do with me. 9U suddenly fan, light tone like a home conversation, pale eyebrows beautiful to the extreme, beautiful but not lost handsome, cool but not lost aura. In short, this is a beautiful man. It's incredible that a person who has been living in the demon clan for thousands of years has such a spiritual atmosphere. Fortunately, this man is not a woman, otherwise Yunwu can't imagine how she will react when she meets such a secular woman. You said he was Ilao's disciple? Jiuyo nodded. Ilao's disciples have been trying to prevent us from finding a way to lift the seal. Is it just as well for Ilao's followers, or Ilao also participated in the obstruction? Jiuyo Pingping said, I don't need to answer the questions that have nothing to do with me. I've taken the people away. I'm sorry to disturb the festival. With a slight stoop, 6 more ropes surrounded by black air appeared in the hands of the 6 followers behind him. The ropes twisted like 6 snakes and shook towards the man. Each division of work directly dragged the man from afar. Jiuyo, are you too arrogant? Magic even eyes become a lot of Li, in front of so many demons. If let Jiuyo take people away, where is his face? Besides, if you don't kill this man, his secret will be revealed to the immortal Isong. Once the secret is revealed, the whole demon clan can't be alone. He is a precious apprentice. He must die here anyway. Jiuyo stopped, calmly turned his head and looked at Magic Lien, and said faintly, Fish and bear's paw can't have it both. The deputy master can only give up one. If you want to give up the other, I don't mind. Take him. Jiuyo looked at the dying man and said, Here you are. You. The devil wants to talk but stops. He knows in that case. Somebody Magic even roared, Arrest them for me. What? Is she right? Cloud Dance rare raised eyebrows, the direction of the magic finger is her, right? Shouldn't it be those people she's after? Who knows that the style of painting is changing too fast? She can't accept it for a moment. How can she be pushed to the top of the storm from a melon-eating crowd? However, she had long thought of such a result. It seems more interesting than the people who prevented them from finding the seal, how they entered the demons through the seal. Jiuyo said faintly, Since the deputy patriarch has made a choice, Jiuyo will leave first. After that, he leaned over and turned to leave. Half a second later, his eyes passed over Yunwu. The eyes were so complicated that Yunwu didn't see through what the eyes meant. People who want to be saved will push themselves into danger instead. If so, it's better not to save them. Well, say something sarcastic to pass the time, waiting for help, ready to run. The cloud dances the corner of the mouth to stir up a smile like the plum blossom. She has a kind of premonition in a few seconds that just left the man will definitely be back. If not, stop it. Jiuyo comes back with his 6 followers, but the man is missing. Magic even don't know whether feel oneself was fooled, look like is exasperated to become angry to roar, What do you want to do in the end? Jiuyo didn't speak. He just took a letter out of his arms. A black mist rose from his palm, wrapped the letter up and sent it to the magic company. He said flatly, I forgot to give the important things to the deputy leader. The disciple of the magic sect was seriously injured. I really want to belittle Yifeng Mountain. Here Yifeng Mountain challenges the magic sect. The devil connected the letter, opened it and read it. The next second, he angrily squeezed the letter into pieces and glared at Jiuyo and said, Jiuyo, as a guard messenger, you are favoring the other faction. Do you really not pay attention to our demon sect? Cloud Dance picks the tip of his brow and looks at Jiuyo with a smile. He thinks deeply. The more he thinks, the more he wants to smile. Unexpectedly, Jiuyo is still a very interesting person. There is no residue left to use anyone. But didn't expect that 9U also suddenly turned head of just right up Cloud Dance. And also at that moment, Cloud Dance inexplicably felt a shock in my heart. It's not fear. It's not shock. It's a wonderful feeling, just like I've known him for thousands of years. I'm inexplicably familiar with him. Of course, this feeling disappeared in a flash. 9U hook lips to smile toward her, seemed to be polite to say hello the same, then just elegant turn ahead to look at that Li of evil connect. How can the Deputy Lord think so? We Jiuyo always take protecting the demons as our duty and never take sides. This is well known among the demons. Well said. Magic Company was in the stage of anger, and his eyes were cold and full of anger? What do you mean now? 9U if have if of swing a feather fan, incomparably elegant and handsome face light smile, breeze light cloud light of say, I don't come to deliver a letter? Does this make the Deputy Patriarch feel unfair? Okay, if the Deputy Master feels uncomfortable, Jiuyo can also send a letter for you. I don't know who the Deputy Master wants to send a letter to. Clearly at this time the atmosphere is on the verge of rage stage, but this 9U is still not disturbed by half silk. Seeing this scene of Cloud Dance, I can't help looking at the Jiuyo. This man is really eloquent. But Cloud Dance also quickly reaction, now do not seize the opportunity to escape, it is really a fool. Come on, let's go. Whispered toward the side of the Jade Sun to say, Cloud Dance to hold small fat girl began to sneak back. Come into my territory, can you still walk? Magic even in Cloud Dance there a movement, found out. A powerful dark force passed by in the air, directly attacking the clouds. Jade Sun return eyebrow deep lock, quickly blocked in front of Cloud Dance body. So estimate is can't walk. Don't mention their strength now. Even if they are in full strength, it's hard to escape from so many demons. What's more, as soon as they got together with the deputy leader of the demon clan. Not necessarily. Yunwoo suddenly gave a strange smile. See, at the time that Magic Lien's power attacks them, 9U's power that whisks by with the hand has already stopped. Bang! A beam of light exploded in the dark mid-air. All the demons around were angry and tolerant. Looking at the smiling Jiuyo, they didn't look very good. Jiuyo, aren't you being partial? Do you want to be the enemy of my whole demon clan? The devil even roared, and the anger in the dark eyes could almost burn up. Just now that man has been taken away by him. If these two people are also taken away by him now, how can he mix in the demon clan in the future? How can the demon clan survive in the future? Jiuyo blinked innocently. He didn't want to look like this and said, I can't blame you, Deputy Master. You should know that Jiuyo is responsible for guarding the world. Naturally, you can't hurt our guests of the demon clan. The implication is to take Yunwoo away from him again? Even considering Jiuyo's identity and strength, Magic Company was still enraged at this time. A strong and thick dark atmosphere suddenly attacked a large space. Don't go too far. After that, he saw that the thick dark breath turned into countless black mangroves in an instant, and quickly swept away to the clouds. However, his eyes are tightly staring at 9U. It seems that as long as he dare to hand, he will not be polite. To tell you the truth, Yunwoo's body at this time can't resist the powerful power of this patriarch. Once captured by him, I'm afraid the consequences can be imagined. But I don't know why, from just on 9U that Cloud Dance inexplicably very calm. You can even look at the Magic Company's attack on her without expression, and don't dodge. On the contrary, Yuzigi's face changed, and his heart, which had always been too cold, was not calm at this moment. Reach out and block Yunwoo and the child behind you, trying to arouse some spiritual power to resist. However, don't say he has no inner elixir. Even if he hasn't lost his inner elixir at this time, in this completely dark demon clan, it's totally oppressive for him, the bright immortal. However, Yuzigi's action made Yunwoo feel more grateful to him. At least, when she was inhaled into the seal crack, he did not hesitate to chase her down, and now he is still in front of their mother and son regardless of life and death. Bang bang. Those illusory black mang were intercepted on the way when they were about to approach Yunwu and others. Of course, the hand is still the nature of the nine yu. In this case, the evil company was completely furious. His eyes were extremely red, and he glared at Jiu Yu, if you want to fight against us, don't blame me. But before he finished, Jiu interrupted coldly, Deputy Master, I should ask you, do you mean to fight Jiu? Tone is very indifferent, but the tone of the natural superior momentum is infected with a full threat anger. It is their demon sect that has been destroyed. But at this time, it seems that their demon sect has done something to break the rules. Magic Lien's face is naturally not very good looking. As I just said, they are the VIPs of our demons. No matter you are the demons or other demons, you can't hurt them at all. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Jiu has always been as light as wind and clouds, floating like an immortal. It's almost impossible to hear the breath of life from him. But now, the severe anger in his tone made all the demons present unable to react. Even Magic Company was slightly surprised. After all, although he repeatedly said that he would be rude to him, he didn't really want to fight with him. You know, in addition to his strength, Jiu can become a demon guardian. Because he is too mysterious, no one knows his origin. Naturally, no one knows what his strength is. Just now you have taken away the old man's disciples. Now the 2 big and 1 small should belong to our demon sect. What's more, today is our demon sect festival. Magic even in face of say. Just now I let you choose for yourself. You chose them, but unfortunately, you can't move them. Why? Because they are the VIPs of the demons. After hearing that, the devil even has the heart to spit blood. Why don't you take people away from him just because you are a VIP? They come from the other side of the seal. I don't care what you say about VIP. You can't take them away. Magic doesn't want to laugh at him anymore. Big deal, please come out in person. But Jiu seems to understand what he thinks in his heart. Suddenly, a radiance appears on his pretty face. Even if your patriarch comes out in person, I have to take this man away. After that, he saw the 6 servants behind him. They took Yunwu and Yuzi to Jiu again. Of course, at the moment when Magic Company and others react, Jiu's figure disappears again. However, it left a word echoing, Deputy Patriarch, you tell your patriarch that people are taken away by me Jiu. This damn Jiu. Magic even at this time face don't mention how ugly, in Li's eyes rolling with the fury. At this time, the devil on one side could not help but come forward and asked in a low voice, Deputy Lord, what should we do now? Do you want him to take people away like this? Or what do you say? Do you think you can get them back? Magic even this is a belly fire, all over the haze more uncontrollable. The demons suddenly shrank in fear and said respectfully, why don't we invite the Lord out of the mountain? As long as our Lord comes out, even if he is Jiu, he will not dare to be so presumptuous to us. Although he was extremely angry, he didn't lose all his sense. He immediately turned around and walked quickly in a certain direction. But suddenly he thought of something, and immediately he turned around and solemnly ordered, gather the troops immediately. This time, we must eradicate the damned Ifang mountain. Yes, in an instant, the evil clan began to storm up and down. A mountain as high as Mount Everest, Yunwu and Yuzigi are finally free. 9 yu in a brush hand, that originally bare mountain, unexpectedly quickly swept up a black wind. Wind up and wind down, that is, in the twinkling of an eye, a luxurious and resplendent mansion appeared on the top of the mountain. The mansion is surrounded by a layer of black clouds, but it is dotted with countless night pearls, shining the darkness all around. 2 distinguished guests, please 9 yu fairy a smile, a pair of raw animal harmless eyes straight looking at Cloud dance with Jade Sun return of say. But when the corner of his eye swept to the little fat girl in Yunwu's arms, he subconsciously reached out to touch her. Cloud dance hasn't yet come over from that sudden situation reaction, feel Jade's Sun return once again blocked in front of her, blocked 9 yu that toward Cloud dance to extend to come over of hand. As the guardian of the demon clan, Joyo has great responsibility. You saved us from the demon clan. Is there anything we need to help? Cold voice, with endless alienation and vigilance. I don't know why. He always feels that this 9 you can't be so speechless and innocent and finally save them. However, they are now deeply involved in this demon clan, and they are in a passive state for many things. But even so, he won't let the mother and daughter get hurt. 9 you that stretch in the mid-air of hand a meal, pick eyebrow of saw eye block in front of cloud dance jade sun return. At a glance, he laughed. It turns out that you are the patriarch of Yugwashin in fairyland. No wonder you feel so familiar with your smell. However, some did not expect that the patriarch of this generation is such a young man. Young man? Even though Yuzigi is in his early 20s, he is hundreds of years old. But at this time, he was said to be a young man among the more young and handsome men. It's really weird. Smell speech, Jade Sun return eye ground vigilance to be deeper. Although the demons can tell from their breath that they are not demons, it is absolutely impossible to know their specific identity. However, this Juyo just looked at him, knew his origin, really let a person feel a little creepy. Don't worry. If I want to do anything to you, I won't save you from the evil company. Don't stand at the door. Let's go into the room first. After that, Juyo walked towards the mansion gracefully and naturally. And the 6 people who followed him naturally followed in silence. Suddenly, Yuzi was left at the door to follow Yunwoo. Yuzigi turns his head and looks at Yunwoo. It seems that he is asking for her opinion. Go ahead and have a look. This Juyo is not simple. I feel that if we want to find a way back, maybe we can find it in Juyo. Cloud Dance said in a low voice. In fact, she always feels that Juyo has inexplicable attraction for her. Of course, it's not about emotion. Now that they have no way back, it's better to see what the purpose of Juyo is. What's more, even if they want to escape now, it's impossible for them to escape from Juyo. Although Yuzigi lost his inner elixir and his only spiritual power was suppressed, he had his own wisdom and insight to become the leader of the sect. In the current situation, he also knows what is best for them. Be careful not to leave me too far. Before going in, Yuzigi just said this. Then first Cloud Dance step into. Yunwoo looks at Yuzi's back and feels a little complicated. He didn't have to. However, it's not the time to think about this, so Yunwoo didn't object and entered the mansion behind Yuzi GUI. As soon as they stepped into the gates suddenly closed. At that moment, it seemed that all around the mansion was enveloped by the black fog, and I couldn't see my fingers. If it wasn't for the bright pearls of the night all over the mansion, I'm afraid it would be really scary. Along with the light of the night pearl, Yuzigi, Yunwoo and the sleeping little fat girl walked into the courtyard slowly and all the way looking at the surrounding environment, and finally came to a hall with an open door. Here you are, young lady. Juyo, who is sitting in the hall drinking hot tea, suddenly says hello to Yunwoo Yuzigi outside the door with a smile. Then, I don't know where to see a lot of attendants, began to decorate the dining table in the hall. Surely you haven't eaten since you came into the demon clan? Come and have some first. You can eat my food with ease. It won't affect you. As you have heard before, as the guardian of the demon clan, you can't take sides. Now the demon clan is almost divided into 2 groups. One is to break the seal and leave the place, the other is to be content with the status quo. On the other hand, there are some internal splits in the party who is content with the status quo. Now there are always wars and chaos between the 2 factions, but the reason why they have never really fought against each other is because of my existence. As long as I Juyo exist, there will be no real war between the 2 factions unless I am killed. Speaking of this, Juyo's words pause, and his hands with vegetables also stop. It seems that he thinks of something. He suddenly looks up and thoughtfully looks at the child in Yunwoo's arms. By 9 you that look in the eyes, Cloud Dance subconsciously hugged the child some, can't help but frown. 9 you see this, ha ha a smile of continue to eat up, casually finish the words behind. So, if I don't make a little border in the place where I live, I'm afraid I don't know how many times I died. Is that so? Cloud Dance, looking at this 9U, always feel he said some not too true. After meditating for a second, Yunwoo asked frankly, now we are all in your territory. Why don't we just say, what's your purpose? Jiyo doesn't seem to be surprised at Yunwoo's cleverness at all. After picking eyebrows and laughing, he finally puts down his chopsticks, raises his clear eyes and looks at the child in Yunwoo's arms. This time I save you. It's really selfish of me, and the biggest reason is because of her. Slender fingers gently pointed to the little fat girl. Yunwoo frowned and looked down at her sleeping daughter in her arms. The skin that was burned by the extreme yang inner pill, after entering the demon family, slowly disappeared and healed. In fact, Yunwoo's psychology is very clear. Little fat girl seems to be very consistent with this demon aura. She can not only absorb the dark power of the power, but also nourish herself and her during the absorption period. Yes, Yunwoo's body can be nourished in this demon family now, mostly because of the little fat girl in her arms. For this point, Cloud Dance is actually not very clear what the reason, also do not know whether this is good or bad. What do you mean? Cloud Dance looks at him to ask away. But it's strange that she still doesn't have the so-called antipathy and repulsion to him. On the contrary, after Yuzi returned to Wenyan, the breath immediately became fierce, and he was extremely alert and stared at the 9U. 9U can't help but puff to hiss a smile, uncanny of saw Jade's son return one eye, seemed to understand what among them. But I'm not going to break it. But he looked at Yunwoo and said, don't worry, I don't mean anything to you, but I just tell you some facts. Facts? Well, it's about the child in your arms. Maybe, you already know that she is the son of darkness in the fairyland and the demons. The people of the light family want to get rid of it quickly. Once they know it, they are afraid that it will cause a bloodbath for this child. Cloud Dance's face can't help but some dignified, because what he said is the truth. Think of Yuzigi when he saw the child immediately want to kill attitude, can imagine, once let other bright department people find, little fat girls and can imagine. But what does that have to do with him? Jiyo seems to have the ability to see through people's thoughts. Seeing Yunwoo's idea just flashed by, he said with a smile, if you are the son of light, it has nothing to do with me. However, the child who entered the demon clan happens to be the son of darkness. In that case, you can only say that everything is doomed. Is it the so-called destiny? I don't know why, Yunwoo has a great antipathy to that sentence. No one can escape the destiny, even you. Jiyo refers to you, including Yunwoo and Yuzigi. Yuzi's love disaster and Yunwoo's natural mission. No one can escape this. Even him. Maybe if you open your heart, Jiyo will no longer pretend to be mysterious and elegant. From behind you, you walk to Yunwoo and look down at the lovely little fat girl. Can I hold her? Although Yuzigi is very wary of this Jiyo, he can't talk about the child, so he can only look at Yunwoo. In fact, Yunwoo is also very tangled. Even though she doesn't reject Jiyo's view, she doesn't feel at ease that the child is handed over to such a person she just met. Especially after experiencing the charm situation, she did not dare to give her children to others. Don't worry, in this mansion, even I won't have spiritual power, so don't worry that I will take the child away under your eyes. What's more, my nest is here. Where can I go? See Cloud Dance of hesitation, 9U then open mouth say. Then, Yunwoo put the child in her arms. When Yunwoo came back, she almost beat herself. Haven't you had enough lessons? However, now she can't start to grab the child back, so she stares at Jiyo tightly. It seems that as long as he has a slight change, she will rush up immediately. Soft small body, also with the smell of silk milk, 9U carefully and cherish incomparable holding the arms of the baby. On that handsome face, there was an awkward softness and warmth. What's her name? Cloud Dance hesitated for a moment, should weigh. The small name is Little Fat Girl, the big name has not taken, originally is to leave her father to take for her. But she didn't expect that when she saw Long Qingxia, it was like that. However, even so, Yunwoo still decided to give the name of her child to her own father. 9. You smell speech, eyebrow peak pick to pick, little fat girl? How did the lovely baby with delicate appearance in her arms get such an ugly name? Even if it's a nickname, it seems that it's too bad to hear. Of course, Jilyo can't dislike anything in front of the child's mother, so he doesn't ask any more. He continues to look at the child in his arms with a kind of tender eyes. Originally, Yunwoo shouldn't think about anything, but seeing Jilyo looking at little fat girl with that kind of eyes, Yunwoo always felt something was wrong. You're not going to think about my daughter, are you? She's just over 2 months old. She's not for you. It can't be said that Cloud Dance thought is too much. The main thing is that Jilyo's eyes are tender, just like looking at your lover. It's hard to go there. 9. You forehead green tendons stir up a few times, half ring just suppress that depressed feeling in the heart. Looking up at Yunwoo, she will be my successor in the future. Successor. Cloud Dance a lang, but the next second, but a spirited jump from the stool, a child from Jilyo arms back. You don't have a fever. My daughter is only 2 months old. Do you want to find her as your successor? No way for this point. Cloud Dance has no hesitation at all. Don't say now the child is still so small, even now the little fat girl has grown up, she can't allow her to inherit the responsibility of Jilyo. The good news is the envoys of guarding the boundary, but the hard news is just to balance the stewards of the two factions. Busy dead busy to add responsibility on their shoulders, not to say, but also at any time to prevent someone from being assassinated. How could she let her daughters suffer such a crime? What's more, she can't afford to like this dark demon. It's her destiny. She can't escape it. I never believe in fate. My own destiny is in my own hands. So Jilyo, you can't think of my daughter. She won't be your successor. Jilyo looks at the cloud dancing like a hedgehog and sighs helplessly. Even if you stop it now, you can't change the future. After all, a strong person like your mother can't change his fate, let alone you. You know my mother? Cloud Dance heard, slightly jinglung for a while. Her mother, in her now not too complete memory has been fuzzy, but her heart is some inexplicable desire. Eager to know the news of her biological mother. Maybe it's because she has become a mother now. She always feels that she is missing a part in the family. 9. You didn't answer, but saw Jade's son return. Yuzi Gui naturally understood what he meant. Although he didn't recommend Yunwoo's mother and daughter to be alone with him, seeing the look of eager to know the answer in Yunwoo's eyes, he went to the door automatically. Until after Yuzigi left, Jilyo said slowly, "When you see me, don't you feel a little familiar?" This sentence asked Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance inexplicably looked at him, then nodded slightly. For a moment, you give me a very familiar feeling, and even from you, I can't feel exclusion and danger. Haha, that's because we have the same root. 9. You say, also ignore Cloud Dance to make what facial expression, turn round to inside a corridor to walk. This is the same route? What does he mean? Cloud Dance suddenly feel as if there is something important to know, and can tell her, is that 9 you? Bear the bottom of my heart doubt. Cloud Dance holding the child also followed Jilyo. Through a corridor decorated with night pearls, through a rockery without any vegetation, after bypassing a pavilion, we finally came to a Wanyuan building standing on the pond. There was no way to the Wanyuan building. Jilyo pauses there for a moment. Seeing the Cloud Dance coming up, he just flicks his hand. An arch bridge made of black fog appears between them. Come with me. After that, he set foot on the arch bridge and walked slowly towards the Wanyuan Tower. Doesn't it mean that you can't use psychic power? Looking at the arch bridge, which is obviously condensed by the spirit, the black line on Cloud's forehead slides down and silently looks at the back of Jilyo. I knew he wasn't completely telling the truth. However, now Yunwoo didn't say anything at this time. Holding the child, she stepped on the black arch bridge carefully, facing the Wanyuan building standing on the pond. In fact, this building is very classic and exquisite. The 4 corners of each floor are inlaid with night pearls, which light up the whole building in soft light. Half of the answers you want to know are here. Come in with me. Jiyo looks back at Yunwoo, pushes the door open and goes inside. Different from the light on the outside, there is no black paint on the inside. Cloud Dance C9U that figure disappear in the darkness of the house. The psychology actually began to hesitate. But in the end he succumbed to his inner curiosity. As soon as you enter the building, the light around you disappears and you fall into the darkness. You can even say that you can't see the darkness. Jiyo? Where are you? Cloud Dance will hold the baby tightly in her arms, alert to the tension. Fortunately, it didn't take long to see the light of a candle shining from far to near in the darkness. When it was built here, it was built with the border as the central eye. Here, in addition to the most primitive candlelight, even the night pearl can't light up. 9U is carrying candlelight. Walk toward the candlestick of hang adornment of 4 corners. Light candle one by one. At this time, Cloud Dance can really see what's going on all around. This is a temple? Because in the light of candlelight, this is a hall or an empty hall. The only striking thing is the rows of memorial tablets above the main hall. Obviously, the names on the tablets are all the same surnames. It should be from the same family. When Jiyo was looking at those tablets, there was a faint flash in his deep eyes, but it soon disappeared. This is the ancestral hall of the dark faction of the Wu clan. Which clan? The ancestral hall of the dark faction? Yunwoo, who was still looking at those tablets, was suddenly surprised. He turned his head and looked at Jiyo. Do you say witches? Well, you're right. There is only one wizard in the world. Jiyo said plainly. But Yunwoo felt a little confused. Isn't the witch clan from fairyland? Why did the ancestral hall of the witch clan come to the place of the demon clan? Let alone Jiyo, who was filial to himself, set up a memorial ceremony here, because there were more than 200 memorial tablets in that row. Even if it is filial piety, it is impossible to make more than 200 memorial tablets to worship. Jiyo seems to understand what Yunwoo thinks, and he smiles. You little girl, I have just said that this is the ancestral hall of the dark faction of the Wu clan, while the ancestral hall of the bright faction is in the fairyland, and the Wu clan is almost in the fairyland. Oh, the Cloud dances speechless and nods. Do you all belong to the same family name? Because of the surname Shui on the tablet. Although the memory is incomplete, it seems that she still remembers that her mother's surname is Huang. 9. You see her curious, also with chat-like explanation. In fact, we are all born with the same surname, all surnamed Snow, only the fate of the need to complete the task and leave the Wu people will need to change another surname, but as long as the Wu people after death will return to the Snow, this surname. So much trouble? Yunwoo picks eyebrows, but she doesn't understand them in depth. After all, she is just curious. What she wants to know when she comes in with him is not that. Just now you said that we are of the same root, so you are also a witch? Jiyo also nodded his head. Handsome face is still maintaining a smile, the dark faction of the witch family. Then you will come to this ghost place. Is it because of the so-called mission of the witch clan? Cloud Dance looked at him and continued to ask. But for this question, Jiyo obviously pondered for a while. In fact, Yunwoo wanted him to say no. At least, this will let her to that already extinguished sorcerer clan can maintain a trace of fantasy. But after thinking for a while, Jiyo still nodded and said, yes, the sorcerer is a race that obeys the destiny of heaven. Any sorcerer will have his own mission, and my mission is to be the guardian of the sorcerer. Kill her. Yunwoo suddenly has an impulse to kill himself. It's destiny and mission. Can this be fun? I don't know what your name is in the human world. Jiyo suddenly looks at Yunwoo and asks. Yunwoo was still depressed in his heart. After hearing this, he said, Yunwoo, my surname is Yun. To tell you the truth, she really doesn't want to put the surname Snow. At the beginning, the Queen Old, which was Snow's surname. If she had the same surname, she would feel uncomfortable. What's more, the so-called mission responsibility of the witch clan is too big. If she can, she really hopes that she is not a witch clan. Jiyo looked at the face of some unpredictable Cloud Dance, with a faint smile. As a past person, listen to my advice. Don't try to resist with the fate, the price is too heavy, you will regret it. At what cost? When you say you are a past person, do you mean you have resisted your mission? What are the consequences? Hearing what he said, Yunwoo was a little curious. This Juyo looks perfect. It's hard to see what price he has suffered. See Cloud dance after listening. Not only don't worry, but a pair of 8 diagrams like expression. 9 you said suddenly pressure some big. Is this really their witch's saint? With a sigh, Juyo turns around powerlessly and is ready to leave the Wanyuan building. Juyo, you haven't answered me. What are the consequences? Cloud dance holds the baby in her arms and follows her again. After knowing his background, Yunwoo was quite relieved of him. Of course, rest assured, it is impossible for her daughter to take over his class. After leaving Wanyuan building, Juyo walked slowly towards the inner house, followed by Yunwoo. C9 you a pair of intend to answer of appearance. Cloud dance also can give up. However, she seems to remember that she forgot to ask another important question. By the way, just now you said about my mother. Do you know about my mother? Where is she now? Juyo's steps stopped for a moment, but then it recovered. I've been here for hundreds of years, and I haven't stepped out of here. How can I know where your mother is now? Yunwoo's first reaction was that he lied. Her mother has been missing for more than 10 years, during which the witch clan was destroyed. He said that he had been here for hundreds of years, but he knew the situation of the witches. It can be imagined that he must have a way to get the outside situation, or he must know how to get out of here. Are you really not going to tell me? Yunwoo follows and stares at him. Juyo's face is expressionless, but from his hand holding the black feather fan, we can see that he seems to have a slight change in emotion. If you didn't mean to tell me, why did you just tell me about my mother? I believe that there must be your plan. In that case, you might as well tell me now. In fact, Juyo really has his plan. However, from what he just said, he could tell that Yunwoo was not a person who could easily compromise his fate. Tell her maybe it hurt her. However, how long can such a thing be concealed? It seems to see the hesitation of Juyo. Cloud dance can't help but add oil again. You just said, we are the same root, a lot of things, even if you don't say now, I will find it in the future. It's better for you to tell me in advance now. I have a bottom in my heart, right? Hearing this, Juyo's steps finally stopped. Are you sure you have to know? Juyo suddenly looks at Yunwoo seriously. Yunwoo was slightly stunned, but he knew what he was doing. So he nodded and waited for his words. Juyo looked at the cloud dance for a long time, and finally sighed. A low and serious voice came. Your mother is the daughter of the most mysterious wizard clan leader in the mainland of China. The daughter of the head of the witch clan? Cloud dance not only slightly picked eyebrows, but did not speak, continued to listen. Juyo was silent for a moment, and seemed to want to find some concise words to state. The witch people are born to be a race that complies with the destiny. You should know that. At the beginning, your mother complied with the destiny and went out to marry the then prince of Longshu Kingdom, and then helped the then prince of Longshu Kingdom to succeed and give birth to the next prince of Longshu Kingdom. What Longshugua? Married? And have children? Cloud dance heard here, immediately felt waves of black lines sliding down from the forehead. Does the witch family have enough to eat and support, and they have to comply with the destiny to get married and have children? Juyo continued, but I don't know what went wrong. Your mother didn't marry the prince of Longzuguo. Instead, she married your father. At the beginning, when we found out the mistake, there was still a chance to modify it. However, your mother fell in love with your father. She not only gave birth to you against the destiny, but also destroyed another who needed to conform to the destiny and marry your father. As a result of this disorder, the fate of many people has changed. The biggest change is not you, but the father of your child now. Speaking of this, Juyo's voice is obviously more low. But Yunwoo's face changed a lot, and a kind of inexplicable heavy feeling pressed on his heart. She never knew how she was born. But what's the matter with Dragon's evil? It seems that seeing what Yunwoo thought, Juyo continued, If according to the destiny, you and he should not be born like this, and the fate is disturbed, so you are born with two extremes that repel each other. What do you mean? Two extremes? So she's the light department? He's the dark department? But so what? Can't she practice the dark department at the same time? It means that you two are destined to be positive and negative. No matter what, they can't get together. Moreover, his fate is the most thoroughly changed. At the beginning, your mother should have given birth to him, and he will be the dragon of the people. However, because of your relationship, he is destined not to be the dragon of the people. But as he climbs higher and higher, he will be the dragon of the people the more the fate of life will manifest itself in him. And you will comply with heaven's destiny and become the saint of the witches and the successor of the witches. Hearing this, Yunwoo's face turned black at last. What and what? One positive and one negative? Not destined to be together? Now that they have children and have been together for a long time, how can they be like what Joyo said? Don't believe it. Think about it for yourself. Do you have real peace after you are with him? Moreover, if I remember correctly, it seems that you and he have been married twice, but they are both short of each other, and then you will be separated from each other. Joyo directly breaks the disbelief in Yunwoo's heart. Suddenly, his face began to fade, as if there was a fragile swaying in the wind. Because what he said was true, even though she did not believe in fate. But sometimes, people are so strange that they say they don't believe it all the time, but they can't help recalling it in their mind. Joyo's voice is still impolite. You and he will have children. It's not that you are free from the control of fate, but that fate has been arranged for a long time. You need the blood of the two extremes, and give birth to the son of darkness and the son of light at the same time. Hearing that the fate of the two children was included in the so-called fate, Yunwoo could not help being nervous. I believe that any mother can't keep calm when facing her children's problems. Even Cloud Dance is the same. What will happen to my two children? Juyo thought for a while, and then he seemed to decide to say, like you, they are destined to be born with two extremes. They can never meet each other, otherwise, they are destined to be the end of their lives. What? Can't see each other? Life and death? Does it mean that her two children will never meet in the future, otherwise they will only live one life? No, it's impossible. She would never let that happen. Cloud Dance's eyes burst out a resolute and cold beam, looking directly at Joyo. Where do you know these things? 9 Yu Wenlong seemed to notice her that mutation of facial expression and resolute, not from deeply saw the Cloud Dance in front of the eye. At half a sound, he said, "It's in the book of heaven that the envoys of guarding the world have mastered." With that, he did not stop on the path, but continued to move towards the inner courtyard. Cloud Dance continues to follow. However, at this time, she was not just curious about gossip, but changed into a deep and thoughtful mood. Can I have a look at the book of heaven? Joyo didn't answer this time. Cloud Dance is not urgent, just follow behind him, speechless all the way, until you get to a pavilion in the inner courtyard. As soon as Joyo whisks, he sees several attendants putting cakes and hot tea on the table of the pavilion, and then goes back. Joyo sat at the table, took the cup and sipped the tea. Then he looked up at Yunwoo, who didn't plan to sit beside him. It's not that the book of heaven can't be shown to you, but what I want to tell you is, don't try to find any way to change your destiny in the book of heaven, because there is no way. If so, why should he be here for hundreds of years? However, Yunwoo insisted, show me. Joyo carefully watched Yunwoo for a long time, and then he was sure that Yunwoo was true. He would not stop until he saw the book of heaven. The book of heaven can't be seen at any time. It needs to wait until a full moon. Full moon? Cloud Dance frowned, almost subconsciously looked up at the sky. And what you see, of course, is the darkness without any stars. Here, there is no light at all. Where is the full moon? Joyo sighed and explained, you just came here and don't understand the rules here. Although it's dark all the year round, it's not really that you can't see any light. When can I see the full moon? Cloud Dance is not entangled in the so-called law of the demon clan. just hoped to let her see the so-called Book of Heaven earlier. She doesn't believe that the future of her and her children will be arranged by destiny. 9. You looking at Cloud Dance's facial expression, seem to see as silk what she thinks in the heart. In the dark is a helpless sigh. It seems that he really guessed right. This girl is really not easy to compromise to fate. If I showed her the book that day, would it hurt her? C9. You stare at her, a pair of meditative appearance. Cloud Dance speechless, wait for a long time. See, he is still a pair of don't know what appearance. Finally still can't resist. Juyo, you haven't answered my question. When is the full moon? Juyo looked up at the dark sky, and then pinched his fingers to calculate. Then he said, half a month later. Half a month? In fact, Yunwoo is really worried, but she also knows that some things are not urgent, so she can only bear the inner hesitation. The little fat girl in her arms is still sleeping, but from her more and more pink face, this place is really good for her. It's like entering a natural health pool. But suddenly, Yunwoo thought of Little Potato. The little guy, for their mother and daughter, was cut in half and died. He was grateful for his guilt, which made Yunwoo feel uncomfortable. Juyo, do you have any way to bring people back from the dead? Cloud Dance suddenly looks at the 9U who is sitting in front of the table and drinking tea gracefully. Come back from the dead? 9U also direct answer. Oh, Yunwoo was somewhat disappointed. However, I have no way, but it does not mean that others have no way. Who do you want to revive? 9U looking at Cloud Dance, doubt inquiry. Yunwoo's eyes were slightly bright, his heart was moving, and a purple light flashed. Suddenly, in a corner of the table with cakes, there appeared the body of a cub which was separated in two. It's important to us. For Little Potato, Cloud Dance is really grateful for its unclear explanation. If it wasn't for it, she couldn't escape the pursuit of night. If it wasn't for it, her child would not be safe. In the end, it still died for them. 9. You see the small potato on the table, but suddenly a pick eyebrow, a slightly surprised look from his that handsome face a flash. The cub of the poor beast? How did you get it? Hearing what he said, Yunwoo was a little funny. Don't you know all about me and the people around me? How did it come about? You don't know? All that he said just now made Yunwoo doubt whether he had been monitoring them in this ghost place with some magic weapon. 9. You rare rolled a white eye to her. You think I know everything, almost everything I know is from the Book of Heaven, but the Book of Heaven doesn't say you got a poor and strange cub. Is it? Cloud Dance some doubt pick eyebrow. That day there is no record of small potatoes in the book. That is not to say, Tianshu will also have a wrong time? Juyo shook his head. The Book of Heaven will not make mistakes. Even if there is no record of this cub, you and his fate is still the same. I hear what you mean. You seem to believe in fate now? Didn't you say you were from here? So you didn't believe in fate at the beginning. Why do you submit to it now? Yunwoo stares at Juyo. She suddenly wants to know the answer. Unfortunately, Juyo doesn't seem to want to answer this question. Silence. Half an hour later, Yunwoo finally failed. He sat on the stool and carefully put the potato back into the space. Just now you said that other people have ways. Who is it? What conditions do you need? There is no free lunch in the world. Yunwoo is very clear about this, so it is also very clear. Juyo took his black feather fan and swayed it twice before he said in a flat voice, Yifeng Mountain, the disciple of the old man. The disciple of old man Yifeng Mountain? That's the man you came down from before? Cloud Dance smell speech, poor is some surprised for a while. However, when she saw the man with cherry blossom mark before, she felt a little different. Unexpectedly, he has the ability to bring people back to life. I heard you say to the deputy leader of the demon sect that Yifeng Mountain gave a challenge to the demon sect, and the letter was sent by you. In addition, you saved the man. To tell you the truth, do you have some friendship with Yifeng Mountain? In fact, according to that view, maybe the friendship is more than a little. 9U but didn't answer directly, but pick eyebrow of saw eye Cloud Dance, seemed to ask what she wants to do in silent. Cloud Dance to hook lips to smile, the eyes some ancient spirit uncanny of looking at him. How to say, we are also relatives, you see, can you use the relationship, to seek personal affection? Juyo shook his head without hesitation. No. I'm an envoy to guard the world. I can't be partial to any side. Therefore, I can't owe anyone. The cloud dances the corner of the mouth to smoke, can't incline to either side. If she remembers correctly, when he was in the demon sect, he had already shown that he was biased to the other side. He had done all this, but he still said that he could not be biased to either side. Juyo, is he hiding his ears? However, he said all that and she could not say anything more. Well, you said that. Then tell me, where is Mount Yefeng? I'll go myself. Can cloud dance? That words just finished saying, but C9 you shake head again. What do you mean? Yunwoo really can't understand him. With your breath, how far do you think you can walk out of me? Then you don't help me. If I don't go by myself, are you waiting for him to come by himself? Yunwoo almost wanted to give him a big white eye. But I also know in my heart that what he said is not unreasonable. After she and Yuzi entered the demon family, it seemed that the whole demon family knew their existence. This kind of feeling of being looked down on is really bad. It's not impossible. 9 You smell speech, but smile not smile of answer such a sentence. You mean they'll come by themselves? The cloud dances, the eyes are bright. There is still half a month to go before the so-called full moon. During this period, maybe we can see if we can revive the little potato first. However, 9 You at this time but put the eyes on the little fat girl. When the child wakes up, is when they come. Finish saying these words, 9 You suddenly get up. But when he looked at the cloud dance, he sighed without any disguise and then got up and left the pavilion. What does he mean by looking at her and sighing? Yunwoo wanted to follow, but he raised his hand to signal not to follow. So the cloud dance standing in the pavilion can only frown and watch the Juyo leave. When the kids wake up, they'll come to the door by themselves. What do you mean? After cloud dance frowns and murmurs, she can't help looking down at the child in her arms. Her melancholy and hesitating heart suddenly settles down. Forget it, no matter what you come, you can do it at that time. But as long as she's there, she won't let anyone hurt her child. The brilliance of maternal love, at this moment, seems to diffuse in her body. Yuzi Gui, who has been waiting at the entrance of the front hall, has been waiting for quite a long time, but there is no news from the people inside. He is inexplicably worried. However, they did not break in. Until, C9 You slowly walk out, he just meet forward. Can't wait so long? As the Lord of Yugwashan, he seems to lack a little patience. 9 You light smile of leisurely say. Jade's son returned but still facial paralysis like indifference, just lift eyes of looked at him one eye, then over him, intent to find cloud dance. Can just pass by 9 You side, then hear a word and let his footsteps stop abruptly. You are doomed to survive. If you want to live, stay away from her. Maybe you can avoid some unnecessary sacrifice. 9 You finish saying these words, then head also don't return of go forward, the figures slowly disappear in that piece of darkness. The Jade's son that leaves returns, all the time stops in the same place, don't know what to think. Fairyland. Since the crack of the seal of the demon clan has been opened in the woods outside the town, the whole fairyland has been surging up. There seems to be some obvious cracks in the light and dark systems, which are only superficially peaceful. Dark Cloud Palace. What about people? Didn't you follow him? How can people disappear out of thin air? Lien Ting's pretty face, which has always been harmless to people and animals, is now full of haze. The reason for this is the disappearance of the Dark Emperor. Since being outside that small town, the dragon has disappeared out of thin air. No matter how the court used the special power of the Dark Cloud Palace, it could not detect the trace of the Dark Emperor at all. If it wasn't for the Dark Emperor, there was only one reason. The Dark Emperor had a way to shield their Dark Cloud Palace. If so, it can only show that he has no amnesia. For a Dark Emperor who still has the memory of the past, people in Dark Cloud Palace know what it stands for. Look at the Ming Emperor of Yugwashan at the beginning. It's the best specimen. Unexpectedly, they spent so much effort and means in the Dark Cloud Palace. In the end, they were fooled? Every time I think of this, Lianting can't keep the mask, and the angry atmosphere almost fills the whole hall. Get out of here, all of you. I'll give you a month. If you haven't got people back, I'll let you try to go to hell. The roar of rage rang out in the hall. Then, several disciples came out of the hall. Their faces were very ugly. On the other side, Yuguishin. Because of the disappearance of Yuzigi was not very calm up and down, especially since the 4 elders came back from outside. Their faces were extremely ugly. There seems to be something else hidden. However, soon, the 4 elders found that the statue of the beast in the cloud hall seemed to have changed. Then, in the case of the disappearance of the patriarch, another big event was added. There's something wrong with the guardian beast statue. At that time, the atmosphere of light and dark in the fairyland began to change a lot. However, what changes did not affect the elf forest between the 2 factions? Fairy forest. A black figure has been chasing another figure. No one stop, just like that has been in the complex and mysterious spirit forest interspersed chase. But that person does not know others, is precisely the dragon to pour evil, and the one who took away the young master. Before the crack of the seal of the demons outside the small town was reopened, it was sealed again. After that, the knight was almost killed in the rage of the dragon. However, in the end, a mysterious man appeared to rescue him. And Dragon Qingxia was also affected by the huge explosion, and his body suffered a certain amount of damage. But the thought of Yunwu being involved in the demons, his inner anxiety will torture him crazy. He wants to break the seal again, but the knight has been saved. When he was about to lose his mind, he suddenly felt a very special force. And that power, just as his power repels and attracts each other. Instinctively, before those people from Dark Cloud Palace came, he entered the mysterious elf forest which was scrutinized by the world. Following his intuition, he found the spirit, who is the Emperor of Ming. The Dark Emperor and the Ming Emperor are 2 extreme identities. However, both of them are reluctant to become the so-called emperors. Even though they hardly say a word after meeting each other, they both have a feeling that they are both reduced people. It was a scene of heroes cherishing heroes. But in Long Qingxia, she saw the child in her arms and broke it. Don't say what you haven't met, and don't say anything mysterious. Sometimes it's strange to be close by blood. Even if it's just a glance, it's like a moment of peace in my heart. That integrated his small appearance with Cloud Dance. The strange heartbeat rising when he saw the child, he was very sure that was his son. Before being inhaled, Yunwu asks him to find his son. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.